45-year-old outreach coordinator, Monessa Fong, is suing her ex-boyfriend, 33-year-old counselor Albert Chung, for injuries she received during a sexual assault.
Order. All rise. This is case number 112 on the calendar in the matter of Fong versus Chung. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Sir, have a seat, please.
Ms. Fong, you tell a very, very aggressive story about actions taken by the defendant, who was then your boyfriend. For some reason, which I'm sure you will explain, you decided that you didn't want to prosecute this case criminally. Is that right?
Yes.
When did this incident take place?
January 27.
Tell me what happened on January 27th.
Defendant Albert Chen, he discovered that I was going to display clothes at a ballroom dance school, and he became very jealous, and
he went with you?
He insisted he has to go. While we were there, he took me into a storage room. He started screaming at me, calling me names. He also attempted to burn my clothes and burn my face using a lighter.
In the storage room?
Yes, he tried to injure me and burn my face.
You managed to get free, according to your complaint, from the storage room. Is that right?
Yes, there are people there, and people knocked on the door. He left, and when I tried to leave, he was there behind my car.
And he got into the car with you?
Yes, so I gave him a ride home. While I was driving, he blew anger at me. He punched in the windshield and tried to break the window. He also pulled the handbrake, tried to stop the car, and he yelled at me and tried to grab me out of the car. He said he wanted to die with me. And there are policemen behind us, and they took him out of the car.
You were actually taken into custody. Is that right, sir?
No, the police took me out because I have an open can of the beer, and then they thought I was drunk. But
Where did they put you, Mr. Chung?
On the street.
They left you just on the street?
On the street.
You left, is that right?
I told the policeman I was very scared. I do not want the defendant to be in my car again. The police officers told me I could file a police report. And
did you do that?
Yes, I went to a local station and filed a police report.
That night?
That night. And an emergency restraining order was granted to me that night.
And what happened when you got home?
When I stepped into my house, it was close to 2 o'clock in the morning. I heard defendant Albert Chen leave a message on my recording. He sounded angrily on the phone. He threatened me to pick up the phone. I did not pick up the phone. 15 minutes later, the doorbell rang. I knew it was him, so I did not answer. And I tried to call 911. And defendant called in my phone at the same time, so I could not dial out. He threatened me to give him $35 for the taxi fare.
For the cab fare?
Yes. I refused, but he threatened that he'll make a scene out of it and wake up my neighbors. So I brought the money out and gave it to him. He forced his way in. Once he's inside, he grabbed on me and threw me on the ground. He got on top of me. He twisted my wrist. He injured my spine and my joint. And he attempted to rape me by pulling down and ripping my pants. And I brought my evidence of the ripped and torn pants.
I don't have to see them.
The elastic was broken.
Go ahead.
And I started screaming, and he stopped. For the rest of the night, he abused me by threatening me to drain the toilet cleaner. He forced me to smell lighter gas. He threatened me that if I reported to police, he would kill me.
How did it come about that he left your apartment?
My mother called about 9 o'clock in the morning. The first time, he did not let me answer the phone. I said, if I don't answer, my mother will call the police. Then he let me answer the phone. My mother said she was coming over. So then the defendant left. And I called the police and made the second police report. But I told the police officers that I do not want him to be arrested because I was too scared that this guy will retaliate.
Let me see the police report.
This is the first police report. This is the second one. And the bottom is stated that I asked the officer to not arrest the defendant.
Why?
Because I was too terrified.
Then why do you come to court now, Ms. Fong?
Because it's 4 months after, and also putting him in jail is very intense, that he will become very angry and retaliate. I also have the photos of the policeman took on me. It was kicking on my face that was injured. Also on the damaged carpet, on the damaged closet door, the damaged portable closet, and also the burned clothes. The policeman also took his lighter and burned clothes for evidence.
All right, Mr. Chung, I have a couple of questions for you, sir, because I've read your answer. Now, there is no question that you did, in fact, pull the emergency brake. Is that right?
Yeah, I did pull the emergency brake, the handbrake, yes. I want to mention why I need to pull the handbrake, because I told her to stop the car because I feel we were arguing in her car and she drives pretty dangerous. That's why I
read your story. That's not a reason to pull a handbrake.
Okay.
She hadn't been drinking that night you had. You had an open can of beer, is that right?
Right.
Okay. So the police took you out of the car. And how long did you stand out on the street waiting for a taxi cab?
Around like an hour and a half.
And you were very angry at that time.
Yes, I was angry.
Then why did you go to her house that night? Because there's no question that you went back to her house. Is that right?
Right.
Now, you didn't live with her.
I did not live with her.
Then why did you go back to her house after being very angry? Listen to me, Mr. Chung, because I'm very smart. You tried to get out of the car. She wouldn't let you out of the car, according to you. You were so frightened of the way she was driving erratically that you pulled the emergency brake on the car, according to you. Is that right?
Yes.
The police came and rescued you. Is that right?
No,
they rescued you by getting you out of the car. Is that right?
Right, that's getting me out.
That's according to you. They rescued you by getting you out of the car. Now you're rescued. She can't hurt you anymore with the car. So, quiet.
Excuse me.
I'm speaking.
Okay.
So you're standing outside it for an hour and a half, and it's very late at night. About midnight?
And midnight.
And very cold.
And really, really cold.
And you don't live with her.
No.
Then why don't you go home?
Because...
No, look at me. Why don't you go home?
Because I was angry, and I heard she told the police I'm making trouble on her, and I was angry. I just wanted to go to her home.
So you were angry.
Right.
So now you arrive at her house after having had a little to drink, being out in the cold for an hour and a half, and you're very angry. And what do you do when you get to the house, Mr. Chung?
I want to talk to her.
What do you do? Did you call her and tell her you wanted $35 for a cab?
Oh, I did.
She gave you the $35 for the cab. Is that right?
Right.
Was the cab waiting for you?
They kept waiting for me.
And then you went back upstairs.
Right.
Why did you go back to her apartment?
I was angry, and I know I was stupid. I go back to her house.
So what did you do to her when you got to the apartment?
I argued with her.
Tell me how you argued with her,
Okay.
sir.
I told her, you know, how come she just ignoring me? And when the police come, she told the police just don't know me, something like that, just like her, just like friend.
Are you telling me, sir, that you didn't put your hands on her?
Oh, I never put my hand on her.
No, he's lying.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Manessa Fong says ex-boyfriend Albert Chung injured her during a sexual assault. Manessa says Albert terrorized her over the course of 24 hours.
How long did you stay there that evening?
All night.
Did she ask you to leave?
She never asked me to leave.
That's a lot of baloney, sir. That's baloney. Because even if you were only arguing with her verbally, she would have asked you to leave.
She didn't ask me to leave. She let me sleep in her living room at the floor. She told me, because I'm legally blind, I'm visually impaired, I cannot drive, and it was late, around like 2 o'clock, and she let me sleep in her living room, and next morning she woke me up, and then and I left. But we were arguing for a long time.
Right.
Right.
Why do you believe that Miss Fong would have made 2 police reports if you had not threatened her?
Because when the argument, by the time, my language was very strong and insulting her, and she was angry. And I just want to make sure you understand, I didn't do anything physically.
I don't believe that, sir.
her.
I believe that you did something physically to her. I believe that you did. I believe that you went there that night and you were very, very angry.
Right.
And when you are very, very angry, based upon something that you did earlier that evening, you, for whatever reason, wanted her to stop the car, and you pulled the emergency brake up. You could see good enough to pull up the emergency brake.
I don't need to see, I can feel it.
just like you can feel her face. You pulled up the emergency brake, which means, Mr. Chung, that you have a temper. And what she did later on that evening, which was, according to you, felt sorry for you and let you sleep on the floor of her apartment, that doesn't sound like the kind of woman who would not let you out of a car if you wanted to get out of the car. So you got a temper. You've got a temper.
What's
and I
temper
believe
mean?
that you punched the windshield on the car. Didn't break it, but I believe that you punched it.
I did.
Sure, because you have a temper. And that was before you were standing outside for an hour and a half in the cold at 1 o'clock in the morning. That was before. After you were really mad because she was ignoring you in the ballroom, right? Good. You better stay away from her because, you see this judge? You may get some very nice judge if you go near her again. You may get somebody who will be very sympathetic with the fact that you tell them that you can't see, you're legally blind, you're a poor soul, all right? You can't put your hands on anybody. Never. In anger. And get away with it. And I'm just very sorry that she didn't follow through. But I tell you something else. If you ever go near her again, ever, it is very possible that you're going to get unlucky and get somebody just like me. Do you understand? And if you get somebody just like me, you're going to go to jail. And they don't care what your handicaps are. Do you understand?
Yes.
Keep your hands to yourself and stay far away from her. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000 as requested. Stay away from her.
Thank you, Your
Parties
Honor.
are excused. You may step out.
I was terrified. The defendant was threatening me if I arrest him and put him in jail, he will kill me and my family.
I didn't do it, and if I did it, after the police did the full investigation, I already been in the jail.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of McCall versus Wilhelm, step forward, please.
71-year-old Bourbon McCall is suing his former friend, 32-year-old student Sandra Wilhelm, for unpaid loans and the cost of a car. Sandra says Bourbon's lawsuit is an attempt to keep her in his life.
Mr. McCall, it is your claim in this complaint that you were romantically involved with the defendant and made a series of loans to her, including a car.
Yes, ma'am.
Then she broke it off, and you want your money back.
Yes, Your Honor.
When and where did you meet Mr. McCall?
I met Sandra at a local pub that we both frequented
Okay. When?
sometime in March, Your Honor.
And when did you make this first loan?
Well, the first thing that happened, I had bought a computer, and Sandra agreed to come over and download it for me. Then she'd had an accident, and she had picked up a DUI, and her car was wrecked. So I then called her and asked her if I could be of any help to her. She said, well, my mother's got a car, that 88 Crown Victoria. Her mother was asking $2,300 for the car. I gave Sandra $2,300. We went in. She gave us the title. We then proceeded to go down and get it plated and titled.
Did you expect Miss Wilhelm to pay you back the money?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Did you ever tell her that?
Yes, I
No,
did,
you
Your
didn't.
Honor.
Shh, quiet. When did you tell her that?
I told her that before we bought the car. I said,
What
if
did you say?
I said, if we buy a car, I'll help you get a car. But I said, I want title to that car. She said, well, how am I going to get plates and insurance and the rest of it? Why don't we just purchase a vehicle? You'll have the first lien on the vehicle so that I'm protected.
The truth of the matter is, you really are not terribly protected. All you are, if you had title to the car, is you're exposed in case she has an accident, in case she doesn't get insurance.
Well, she did that.
I know, but that's a problem. Miss Wilhelm, first of all, how old are you?
32.
How old are you, sir?
71.
Okay. Miss Wilhelm, this, whatever kind of relationship you had with the plaintiff was of relatively short duration. I read your answer very clearly, and your answer says that he clearly wanted more from the relationship than you were prepared to give him.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Can I see the title to the car, please?
Yes.
Who
I
has
just
the
have
title?
a certificate of title.
I'd like to see it, please.
Here's a copy of the title.
And I'd like to see the certificate of
This
title.
is Exhibit B and C showing the registration and the application.
I just want the title to the car.
He has the title.
This is a copy. Who has
Yeah.
the original?
I have the original at home. I just made a copy of it, Your Honor.
Well, that wasn't very smart, sir.
Well, I'm not.
That wasn't very smart, because I read the defendant's answer very clearly. She says, Bervin's goal was to control me. When I didn't respond to his advances, he became increasingly hostile. Is that true?
That is correct.
It's not true.
Eventually, I told him that he could have the car back because it's not worth the harassment. That's what you wrote. Is that what you wrote?
Yes.
Good. Sign the title over to him. Sign it over. Now,
He has the title.
you're going to sign the copy. We'll conform it. Show where to sign, Bird, would you please? You're getting good at that.
Where? He told me he didn't want the car, Your Honor.
Sign the title over to him.
Signature of seller. And print your name.
Now, give it to him, please. Thank you, Bird. Perfect. Now, let's get to the second part of your lawsuit is you made a series of loans to the defendant. When did they start?
Started after we had purchased the automobile.
That's not true.
She just needed money time after time, and I felt like we were committed enough. We'd already committed that we would go to Texas once she got through her ordeal, and that she would move with me, take the kids. She wanted out of Indiana, so did I.
She's 40 years your junior.
Yes, I know, Your Honor.
Very foolish.
Yes, Your Honor.
Very foolish. Do you have a promissory note, sir?
No, Your Honor.
You gave her money for a lawyer.
Yes,
How much money did you give her for a lawyer?
$500.
That's not true.
You gave her money to pay her mortgage.
$500.
Did you ever get a note from her for any of those things?
No, Your Honor, I was too involved.
Well, you were too involved, and that's what you get when you're too involved,
That's
sir.
right.
You don't get paid for that.
That's right.
That's stupidity.
Well, I said that to myself.
Well, if you said it to yourself, unfortunately, you got to listen to me say it to you again.
That's okay.
So this was a lesson that cost you perhaps a couple of $1,000s. Miss Wilhelm says that you never gave her any money, I assume. Is that right?
That's correct.
Never gave you any money?
No.
I don't know whether I believe you that he never gave you any money. I sort of think he probably did. In any event, you knew each other for a total of maybe 8 weeks. In the 8 weeks, the plaintiff was out a substantial amount of money. I can't get you back all the money that you were out, sir, because I really feel as if you didn't have a contract with her with regard to these cash loans that you made to her, cash gifts that you made to her. But clearly, it was your intention to have a hold on the car, which was the largest amount of money that you turned over to the plaintiff, by having your name placed as a lien holder on the car. That is some evidence of a debt. That is why you got your car back. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Rest of your claim is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused.
5-year-old homemaker Janelle Murray is suing her ex-boyfriend, 27-year-old construction worker Rule Johnson, for an unpaid loan. Rule says the money in question was payment for working on her house.
Order. Come to order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 109 on the calendar in the matter of Murray versus Johnson. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat, please.
Miss Mary, according to your complaint, you loaned the defendant $3,500. You knew him from a previous relationship. You want to tell me when you loaned him the money, what was it for, and where did you get it from?
I loaned him the money in the middle of February. We had known each other about a year and a half prior to. We had been dating. It didn't work out. He couldn't commit. We reconciled at the beginning of the year. He came to me crying about the middle of February, indicating that his life was in danger, that if he didn't have this money, he would be hurt. I trusted him. At that point, he said that he wanted to make this relationship work. I took him for his word. He swindled me.
Where did you get the money from?
It was a tax debt that I owe. I took a loan out on my house.
I just said it was a tax debt. What kind of tax debt?
I owe the IRS money from cashing stock in. I took a mortgage out on my house.
Do you have proof of that?
Yes. He knew I was getting a loan for this money. He came to me right about the time it was about to fund.
Let me see.
Your Honor, that's false. I didn't know anything about the loan until after the fact.
He had made an agreement with me, an oral agreement, that he would pay this back before the 15th.
Just a second. Okay, and what date did he come to you in February?
On the 20th.
And what did he tell you that the money was needed for?
I have no idea. He said that his life was in danger. I took him
didn't
for
ask
his
him?
word. I just saw that he was scared.
And you gave him the money in cash?
Yes. He indicated that was the nature of it.
Your Honor, I do have a
Just a
bank
second.
account. I'm able to cash checks.
Just a second. How much was the amount of your tax bill?
$70,000.
Okay. Go.
Your Honor, this first thing I'd like to present this letter, actually, that I have. It shows
A letter
little-
from what?
It's a letter, actually, from the plaintiff. It shows a little bit of what her word is, and
Your Honor,
That's-
I have
this-
never mailed him any letters.
Just a minute.
it obviously has her. That's the original there, Your Honor, with her signature
I-
at the bottom.
I can't read and listen to you at the same time. Okay, just show this to her. That really has nothing to do with this case.
Absolutely nothing.
Well, that
has
goes
nothing
to
to
show
do
that
with
her
the case.
word really means nothing, to tell you the truth, Your Honor. This was not a loan.
Well, tell me what
I
it
had
was,
done
sir. I
work
read
for
your
her.
answer. Tell me what it was.
I had done work for her in the middle of last year. My brother as well was working with me at the time. He was my employee. And we had spoken with her, him and I, at the same time, were present, to do anywhere from $8,000 to $10,000 worth of work on her home.
That's a lie.
Skylights, countertop, tile,
Just a
replace a
second.
double door in the front entry.
Okay, so you had started to do some work on her house.
That's correct.
When did you start to do the work on her house?
I believe it was July 24th or 25th. We worked there
Of
for 3 days.
2000?
Yes.
And how many days did you work there?
We worked there for 3 days, Your Honor.
Oh, okay.
On the third day, we had the job almost completely done, the portion that we were doing, and she said, I'll finish it myself. Had never given us any money for materials besides a $500 check. She had not paid us for our labor,
Just a
which I
second.
had to pay my employee.
She gave you $500.
A check, that's correct. And that
Well,
was
the
in
check
July
you
of
cashed.
2000.
Shh, I'm speaking. She gave you a check for $500, and according to you, you worked there 3 days.
That's correct.
Do you have a contract with her?
But we had a verbal agreement.
Did you have a contract with her?
I did not, Your Honor.
Okay. Because no contractor starts a job that says it's between $8,000 and $10,000. When you
She
do
had a list.
I'm speaking. When you do a contract, you say this item is going to cost this and that item is going to cost that. You don't believe that the work that you did in 3 days was $4,000.
No, it was not, but subsequent to me accepting this job, I turned down numerous other jobs because I was going to be at this job
You
for
have-
anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks.
You have proof of that?
Not on hand, Your Honor.
Well, that's your defense. That's your defense to this action. So you should have proof. Now you're telling me she just came home one day and said, I don't want you to work on this project anymore.
That's correct. Actually, Your Honor, a few days before that, she had told me that she loved me and wanted to be with me. We went to her house that evening. My brother and I spoke with her on doing this work. She had a large list, pulling out bushes, skylights, numerous work around her house that she had just purchased. We told her, well, okay, we can start in a couple of days. We came by on the Monday of the first part of the week. When we showed up, we asked her to open the garage door so we could unload
So you
materials.
didn't have another job right then?
No. I told her I could be there on Monday.
Just a second. So you were free immediately?
No, I
My
told her I could
statement
help
was
her
you
out.
were free immediately. She spoke to you the week before. You were able to start that Monday. So you were free. You didn't have any other commitments.
At present, I did not at hand. She had asked me first. I had other jobs that I went to. That's the main reason why.
No. My question was, and your response is, you had no other commitments that prevented you from starting her job immediately.
No, I did not.
Okay.
My father had just passed away, so therefore I was still grieving from his death. I've been taking care of him for the first part of that year as well.
Mr. Johnson, pay attention to me. This is about money. This is not about
I
your
have a bill
father's
here as well
unfortunate
that I normally
demise.
write up for customers
Okay?
that I work
Now,
for.
don't you understand when my mouth is moving? There is only one voice that I hear.
To apologize, Your Honor.
Good. Now, if you felt that she owed you money in July of 2000, why didn't you sue her?
I had spoken to my attorney on putting a lien on her house, and work picked up at that time, so I just filed the bill away that I had written up for the initial work that we had started.
Then I'd like to see the bill that you say you filled out then in July of 2000.
That's correct, Your Honor.
For the work that you started.
I do believe there's a legal term for this called quantum merit, Your Honor.
You didn't do $4,000 worth of work in 3 days. I know what the legal terms are. Quantum merit means that you are paid for the work that you do.
That's correct.
This is not the work that you did in 2.5 days.
She gave me a check for $500, that is it.
Pay attention. This is not the work that you did in 2.5 days. That's not what your answer is. Your answer is that you gave up other jobs because you had a job that you thought was going to last several weeks. That's your
correct.
defense.
That's correct.
So what are you showing me this bill for? For $4,000?
That's the work that we started doing. Halfway through that, she decided to tell us, and I'll finish the job myself, because the first day we arrived on the job, she had a new boyfriend there.
Your Honor, the reason that I... Did you remove the countertop?
That's correct.
Did you install a new countertop?
That's correct.
One out of 3.
What do you mean 1 out of 3?
There are 3 countertops. He installed one, gouged the second one, and left the other one standing
That's
in my
false,
garage.
Your
Just a
Honor.
second. Is it there?
I paid somebody else to correct the job.
That's false, Your Honor. There was one section left not put in, Your Honor, and that was the sink side, and that was the day that she asked us to leave. She would finish
Did
the
you tell
job
him to leave?
herself.
I fired him because he verbally assaulted me.
What did he say?
That is
He
false,
quoted
Your
me
Honor.
that the job would take 3 days, cost about $800. We're talking tile on the floor, kitchen countertops, and a kitchen sink.
The initial job that we had quoted was just the surface.
On the 3rd day,
Not to
my
the
stove
countertop.
was still not put in its place. The countertops were, my kitchen was not functionable. He kept verbally assaulting me, making rude
that's
comments
false
to
again,
me.
Your Honor.
Please
I don't want to hear
interrupt
any
me.
interruptions.
That's a lie, Your Honor.
Please don't interrupt.
That's a lie. That's a
It is
pure
not
lie.
a lie.
Out. Him. Out. And the next time somebody speaks, I'm going to resolve this case. It's not going to be to their satisfaction.
She's a liar. That's a lie.
Do you understand what I'm saying to you? There is not to be any discussion between the two of you, and you are to respond to my questions. That's the way I run a courtroom. If you don't like it, go somewhere else.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Janelle Murray says ex-boyfriend Rule Johnson owes for an unpaid loan.
Okay. You fired them.
Yes.
Did he leave a sink there?
No. I bought my own sink.
Okay.
That's false as well, Your Honor.
Show me the bill.
I don't have the receipts. I had given them to her at the time.
You're a contractor. Contractors have bills. Can I see
Checks.
it? Did you buy a sink set, faucet and plumbing?
I did not. That was to install her old faucet and plumbing with
You
the
didn't
new
do that.
sink.
Just a second. You didn't do that.
No. That was when she called us.
Just answer my question. You didn't do that.
No.
And you didn't buy the sink.
Yes, I did, Your Honor. That's false.
And yet you have no proof that you bought a sink, right?
I've got my witness, which you asked to leave the courtroom.
Yeah, because he has big mouth. He doesn't know where he is, and he's not coming back.
Well, when a plaintiff lies, I mean, it's only fair to stand up and say when somebody's a liar.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,500. That's how I resolve the case when you have a big mouth.
Fine.
Thank you.
Have a nice day, Your Honor.
She may step out.
She couldn't accept the fact that she couldn't have me.
He's obviously very full of himself.
She's been obsessive after my brother. She's stalked him.
Ladies, fair warning.
She's a crazy lady.
Pretty faces and money don't mix.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Gilbraith versus Brown. Step forward.
30-year-old electrician Steve Gilbraith is suing his ex-wife, 30-year-old food care supervisor Kristen Brown, for an insurance settlement she received when their marital home burned down.
Mr. Gilbraith, you and the defendant had been married.
Yes, ma'am.
You are now divorced.
Yes, ma'am.
Your claim has to do with some property that was in the marital home. The marital home was destroyed by fire. The defendant was reimbursed for losses in that fire by insurance, and you want to be paid for the stuff that was in the house that belonged to you.
That is correct, ma'am.
Okay. So now I need some dates from you, sir. When were you and the defendant married?
We were married October 7th, 1989, divorced October...
Sure, just a second. I'll ask the questions. When did you separate?
Late 97, 98.
Do you remember the month?
I believe it was in January.
Of 1998.
Eight.
And when you separated, you were living in the home that burned down?
At the time, yes, and then I was asked to move out.
No, just a second. Just answer the question. Don't volunteer. Never volunteer. At the time that you separated, you were living in the house that burned down.
Yes.
The divorce became final when?
On October 29th, 99.
Almost 2 years after you had separated.
Yes.
And 1 month later, the house burned down.
That is correct.
After the final divorce.
That is correct.
Now, what property do you claim, sir, was left in the house when you moved out in January of 1998?
There were personal belongings of mine that the defendant had agreed that I could keep there.
I didn't, you're volunteering information again. I said, what property did you leave in the house?
This is a list of everything, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Galbraith, between January of 1998 and the time of the divorce in October of 1999, had you gone back to the house at all for any of your property?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
What property did you go back for?
Mainly at the time, it was my personal clothing and stuff like that. Things that I had left there were items that I was actually working on remodeling my son's room in the house, my tools and stuff like that. The majority of what I took out was my personal clothing at the time.
Mm-hmm. Now, I see a large document in there. Is that your judgment of divorce?
I have my, the degree of dissolution here also.
I'd like to take a look at it. This says that at the time of your divorce, you and your wife had allocated all property that belonged to each of you.
That's correct.
And your judgment of divorce says that at the time of this agreement, you have decided whose property belongs to whom, and whoever has physical possession of that property now is the owner of that property. Did you know that?
Yes, ma'am.
The husband and wife agree that each party shall retain as his or her own, free and clear of any claims of the other party, all items of household goods and furnishings presently in his or her possession. That's what it says. So, at the time that the house burned down, sir, all the property in her possession was hers.
The power tools that were in the house I was using to, like I say, to remodel my son's house. Those are tools I use every day on my job. The items that was in there were items that we, her and myself, had agreed verbally that she would allow me to keep there.
Then you put it in this agreement. Did you have an attorney?
At the time, no.
Should have. You signed this.
As I said before, we had a dissolution, and it was an agreement between us in the best interest of our children to keep everything. We've been friends for over 20 years. We tried to keep it in the most friendly possible way we could.
That's fine. What I'm saying to you, Mr. Gilbraith, is that you keep it as friendly as possible. But when you outline in an agreement all other property, you talk about the house, you talk about the car, your truck, it names the truck, it names the year of the truck, the make of the truck, the model of the truck that you're going to keep. It talks about the car that she's going to keep, that she's going to keep up the insurance. You have to do certain deed transactions. It talks about all of those things. And then it talks about personal property. And if you had any personal property in that home, you'd just as easily say, listen, we have to put in another paragraph and list all this property that I have in the home that belongs to me. That's very easy. Didn't anybody tell you that, sir? Am I the first person who's told you that?
No, ma'am. I just, as I said, I assumed, being friends that we were, that I could take her on her word.
Did you give him your word that this was all of his property?
No, ma'am, I didn't.
This list, which was made April of 2001, well after the fire.
That's how long it took me to get all of the records and inventory from the insurance company.
It may be, sir. But you had no insurable interest in the property as of the date of your divorce. Because as of the date of this divorce, you were not the owner of any property that was in her possession. It's a simple legal matter, unless she acknowledges that she was merely holding this property for you. You acknowledge that?
No, ma'am.
However, she knows the tools that were in my son's room and all my stuff that was there in that room was being done for her in regards to the remodel of that home, which I had promised I would finish. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, a fire happened in the home before that.
That may be. But you're not suing under that theory that you were a workman doing renovation in the house. Your tools were there when it burned down, and therefore those tools should be covered by her insurance.
It also says in my agreement any inheritant material that was in the house was also mine.
You're talking about under miscellaneous?
Yes, I had things that were given to me by my deceased mother, and etc.
As to Gilbraith, don't pull my leg. Okay. The section that you're reading says the parties agree that each shall retain as his or own, free and clear of any claims of the other, all items of clothing and personal effects presently in his or her possession. The parties further acknowledge and agree that neither party shall have any enforcement rights to the other's inheritance or expectancies, and all future inheritances and expectancies shall remain the property of the inheritor, which means that if somebody dies in your family and leaves you money or property, she cannot claim any of that property. That has nothing to do with your power tools.
No, it has to do with quilts that were made by my mother and my grandmother.
You should have gotten them out before 2 years. Those were not power tools. You don't redo your son's room with quilts.
No, but that's things that she had stored.
Mr. Galbraith, this is a very simple case. You were divorced. At the time of your divorce, the judgment's divorce said all property that you each have in your individual possession belongs to each of you individually, free and clear of any claims by the other. You had the opportunity at the time of the divorce to include this list as property that was in the house that you intended to get back, that it was an agreement with the defendant that you would get back.
She knew
Very
that.
simple. I said including in the judgment of divorce. You did not do that. If you did not do that, you had no interest in any property in her home. Your case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
23-year-old grocery store clerk Jason Bulkey for damaging her rental car by hitting it with a bottle. Jason says the car was damaged because Mary wrecked it while driving drunk.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom. Now, this is case number 85 on the calendar, the matter of Carrigan versus Bulkey. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. May be seated. Folks, have seats.
Ms. Carrigan, it is your claim that the defendant, who is your boyfriend's brother, caused damage to your rental car. And
That's
he did
correct.
that in a purposeful manner. Want to tell me when this happened?
This happened on the morning of January 28th,
What time in the morning?
about 8 a.m.
Where were you?
We were over at a mutual friend's house.
What were you doing there?
I was driving by to pick up my rental car I had let my boyfriend use to take his friends home.
Okay, so your boyfriend was driving your rental car.
Correct.
Took his friends home. What time had he taken your rental car?
About 15 minutes before that, and I had gone home.
What, were you partying all night?
We were at a friend's party the night before, yes.
So everybody was drinking all night?
Not all night. We stayed there the night prior and came home in the morning.
So everybody was partying all night?
Correct.
Okay. Why did you have a rental car?
I had a rental car because I had been in an accident prior to this about a month before.
When you drove by there, you were driving another car.
I was driving my boyfriend's car.
And he took the rental car to take some people home.
Correct.
15 minutes before you arrived, and what did you go there for?
He was supposed to be right back, so I went to go find him in the car and went to go get something to eat, and I was driving by and noticed that the car was parked there. So I stopped.
Okay, go ahead.
I had also noticed that his friends that were with him that evening had bought beer, and I was upset and wanted to switch cars and wanted to leave. Unfortunately, we ended up arguing. He wouldn't give me my keys so we could switch cars, so I would have the rental car and he would have his car. We argued. People came out of the house. We were arguing quite loudly. Once I got my keys, his car was blocking the rental car in.
So you couldn't pull out?
Correct.
Okay.
Everyone was in a frenzy, really upset, and from the back of the house...
Why was everybody in a frenzy? What were you
It was
yelling
early in
about?
the morning and we were arguing.
What were you arguing about?
Because he wouldn't give me my keys. And once I received my keys, I got in my vehicle, the rental car. The defendant and his girlfriend, which is here as well, came out of the back of the house. She went into the house, and he came and punched the driver's side window. I was in the vehicle at the time.
Did he say anything to you?
I couldn't hear. I was in the vehicle. The windows were rolled up.
Okay, so he punched the window. You admit that you punched the window?
Yeah, with an open hand. I hit the window.
Whatever. You admit you punched the
Yeah.
window, that the window did not break?
It was
The
the
window did not break.
other window, though.
The window didn't break?
No, I hit the
Okay.
passenger window, though.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, but he hit the driver's side window with his fist.
Whatever.
And
It didn't break?
No, that's correct.
Okay, so continue.
He stepped back, picked up a bottle, and threw it against the driver's side window. Fortunately, it did not hit the window. It hit the side panels, causing them to chip and causing both the driver's side and the driver rear side to chip as well. I have pictures.
With one bottle, it caused damage on two
It was
sides?
it was like a 40-ounce bottle. There's bottles all over that yard there.
Well, let me see where you say this one bottle caused damage to the car.
I have 3 pictures of the same. It's driver's side. It hit the panels in between the front seat and the back seat.
Oh, I see.
I also have a detailed invoice and an estimate on it as well. Sorry.
And you saw him throw this bottle?
Yes, I was in the driver's side, sitting in the car.
Okay.
Ready?
Well, I was sleeping over at my friend's house, and my brother came to wake me up to drink. I guess they'd been partying all night. He wanted me to drink with him. It was about 7 in the morning or so, and I didn't want to get up. I was tired. I was woken up a few more times. A couple of my friends woke me up, people that lived there, telling me to get her out of there. She was in the driveway, roasting her tires and yelling and screaming. Woke up everybody, all the kids and everything. And after about 45 minutes, everybody bothering me to get her out of there, I finally got up and went out there and asked her to leave, and she flipped me off, and then I hit the window, and then she backed out and left. And I guess, from what I understand, before she got there, she had wrecked the rental car because she was driving drunk, and then she walked home and got the other car, and my brother had came over in the rental car because she left after she wrecked it. That was pretty much it, and then she left. And this guy was there with them when they were drinking and partying all night.
I believe they were drinking and partying all night.
And he offered to give her a ride home in her car because she was very drunk, and she pulled the knife on him, so he left. That's pretty much it. So
Either one of you two people outside at the time that the defendant...
she was up.
Shh, I'm not finished. That the defendant hit or punched the car window.
Yes.
Step up. Go ahead.
When I was there, I went inside after when he
Look
went
at
out
me.
to try.
Look at me. Don't look over there.
To try and get her to leave, and I heard yelling outside, so I went outside again, and that's when I seen him go up to the car and I guess ask her to leave, and then I seen him hit the right side passenger front seat window with his palm.
And then what did you see?
And then I seen her exit.
Exit where?
She left.
What time had all the people arrived from the party at your house?
Well, it was a friend's house, maybe around 6:45, I think it was, because I was supposed to get up and leave at 8, and I remember everybody just coming in. It was real chaotic.
Let's talk about before she got there.
It was when, probably, yeah, about 6:45, 7.
And who brought the beer?
I'm not aware who brought the beer. I do know that his brother came in and asked if he wanted to drink, but I'm not sure who brought the beer.
How much beer did they bring?
We didn't even see the beer.
I didn't ask you what you saw.
Sorry. Yeah,
We don't know.
that is correct. I did not see any beer. They just asked if he wanted to go drink, and he declined. His brother left.
So you didn't see any beer? No beer around?
No, I did not see.
When they were waking me up, they had beer. I didn't see how much beer there was. They had beer in their hands.
Yeah.
But
other than that, I
didn't
did not
see
see a
boxes of beer
12-pack
or
or anything like that. Yeah, I did not see any other beer.
Did you see any beer bottles?
I think there was 1 or 2 in the recycling bin that had been there, but I mean, nothing. There wasn't bottles strewn all over the driveway or anything like that.
Is his brother still your boyfriend?
Yes, he is. This has caused a lot of problems between us and family issues as well because we both live with his father.
Where's your boyfriend today?
He's in the audience.
Was he present when his brother threw the bottle?
Yes, he was.
What's his name?
Seth Bulkey.
Seth Polkey. Step up.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Mary Carrigan says her boyfriend's brother, Jason Bulkey, damaged her rent-a-car in a fit of rage. Jason says Mary damaged it herself when she was driving drunk.
Would you state your name?
Seth Bulkey.
Would you swear him, please?
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth in these matters?
Yes.
Take your hands out of your pockets, please. Were you present on the 28th of January of this year when this incident occurred?
Mm-hmm.
You have to answer yes or
Yes.
no. Did you see your brother throw a bottle at the car?
Yes, he did.
Where did he get the bottle from?
On the ground, or he brought it out. I don't know.
But you actually saw him physically throw
Yeah.
the bottle at the car?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. You may be seated. I have estimate here for $500, which is the $500 deductible judgment for the plaintiff. That's all, $500.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Her acting crazy happens all the time. I try and stay away from her.
I just didn't want to become another one of his victims.
Don't drink and drive.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Kamna versus Seaman. Step forward, please.
20-year-old general contractor Jason Kamna is suing former friend, 21-year-old cook Nicholas Seaman. Jason claims Nicholas took his car without permission and was arrested for driving under the influence.
Mr. Kama, you and the defendant were friends, according to your complaint. One evening, he came to your house with his girlfriend. You say he got quite drunk. His girlfriend left. You let him sleep on the couch. You woke up the next morning, found him gone with your car. You got a call sometime later from him indicating he had been pulled over, was charged with driving while under the influence of alcohol, spent the night in jail, car got a little trashed. Your car was now in the impound. You want from him the money that was spent to get the car out of impound, to clean up from where he threw up all over the car, to fix the damage that he caused when he crashed into something, etc. You want all the money that you spent as a result of him taking the car. The defendant says that he had permission to take your car. And as a matter of fact, you asked him to take your car. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
Because you were hungry at 2 o'clock in the morning. He took your car, and it's all your fault because the car did not have updated tags. So the car was pulled over. As a result of that, he was arrested because in addition to your car not having tags, you also caused him to be intoxicated. You caused him to throw up in front of the officer all over your car. You did that too, right?
Correct.
And therefore, it is not his fault, and he shouldn't have to pay anything.
Right, I should burden the expense.
That's his position. Convince me.
Okay, Your Honor. I figure for the last 3 to 4 months...
Let's start with, I got to his house with my girlfriend.
All right, well, I got to his house probably around 10:30, and I probably had, over the whole night, probably about 6 beers.
After the 5th one, who remembers? Yes, go ahead.
I still knew perfectly clear what I was doing. I went to Taco Bell because he asked me to go to Taco Bell. We were kind of hungry. After you have a few beers, you do get kind of hungry.
Just a second. Your girlfriend left.
She had already left. She left about 11:30.
Is this your girlfriend?
Yes, it is. Marina.
Perfect. Step up here for a second. How old are you?
18.
Was it your intention to spend your evening with your boyfriend?
Yes.
Did you leave him at Mr. Kama's house because he had gotten a little intoxicated?
No, Your Honor, I did not.
Why did you leave him at the house?
It was getting late, and I wanted to go home. It was about 11:30, 12 o'clock when I left.
Right.
Nicholas had not been drinking yet. Jason, by the time we had got there at 10:30.
Just a second. If you wanted to go home, why didn't your boyfriend drive you home at midnight?
He was going to stay with Jason.
Was that the plan, or was that the plan once you got there?
No, that was the plan. He was going to stay at Jason's house that night.
Okay, and he hadn't been drinking at all?
No.
Go ahead.
And by the time that we had gotten to the house, Jason had already had alcohol in him.
So Jason was drunk?
Yes, and the reason why I left at 11:30 is to go home because it was getting late, and Jason was being rude to me because he was drinking. And I didn't want to put up with it, so I left to go home.
Jason was being rude to you?
Yes.
Was he being rude to you in front of your boyfriend?
Yes, he always has.
Does it quite.
Shh. Go ahead.
He does it quite frequently, Your Honor, actually.
Really?
Yes.
Then why would you put your girlfriend in a position of going to his house for even a minute while Jason was drunk and being rude to your girlfriend?
Your Honor,
I'm not asking you a thing.
Well, honestly, I've been really, really good friends with him throughout the past year and a half.
Wonderful. And how long has she been your girlfriend?
5.5, 6 years, off and on.
And he was being rude to her that evening?
Yes.
Did you hear him being rude to your girlfriend?
Yes.
And what you do is you say, I'm going home with my girlfriend. You couldn't drive, is that right? You have no license.
That's right.
Is that right? And that's a result of driving while under the influence of alcohol?
The reason I had my license suspended was because I had too many tickets. And
Tickets
actually,
for what?
For speeding. And I was just...
I'm not finished. So your girlfriend was doing the driving. You bring your girlfriend over for an evening at Jason's house. He's drunk. He's rude to your girlfriend. So you let her go home at midnight and you stay. According to your answer, sir, it was 2 o'clock in the morning when you got hungry. Is that right?
About 1:30, 1:45. It was 2 o'clock when we got pulled over.
I'm speaking. And according to your girlfriend, you had had nothing to drink before she left. Is
That's
that right?
right.
So in the span of approximately, according to you, an hour and a half, you consumed 6 beers.
Yes. Yes, Your Honor.
That's a lot of beers in an hour and a half.
That's true.
So you were pretty drunk.
Yeah. When I
Now-
was pulled over, I was. At the time, when I left the house, I could still walk perfectly straight line.
Okay, so you get pulled over, and you ask for your license. You got a suspended license. There were no tags on the car. Tell me about what happened when you threw up in the car. I
Well,
want to hear all about that.
I figured it was probably just my nerves. I
Tell
was
me about
really,
it.
really
The police
nervous.
officer pulls you over.
When the police officer pulled me over, he comes to the window and he asked me whose car this was. I told him it was my friend Jason Kamness. And I said it wasn't even 2 blocks away from the house where I got pulled over. When I left Jason's house, there was a cop parked right in the
I
front.
don't care. I want to know when you threw up in the car.
Okay. After he came, he took down all my information and went back to his car. He was going to write out a ticket. He had a ticket in his hand for driving while suspended, and the uninsured, which I have right here,
I don't need
with
it.
no tags.
I don't need it.
And when he comes back is when I really started getting nervous, and I did get sick.
In the car?
In the car.
That's
So
when he placed you under arrest?
That is when he placed me under arrest. I asked him to
Perfect.
place
You
me
have
under arrest.
all the estimates?
With me, I have the
Well, I only want to know what's with you, sir. That's your
Yes,
proof.
I've had an estimate given.
What was the damage on the car?
The damage occurred to the driver's side front and on my parents' house where the car was parked. When you back down the driveway, you need to back down at an angle, kind of, and if you crank the wheel too hard, the front end will hit the garage. And it hit the garage and took a chunk out of the 2x6 that surrounds the garage and put a nice little dent in the front.
Your Honor?
Yes.
I remember this whole night clearly. And every single thing I said to the officer, everything I did the whole night, and I do not remember hitting that garage once.
That's too bad.
I don't know where this came from.
That's too bad.
And the dent in the left front bumper, he ran into his brother's car about a month ago on the right rear side, and he did not remember running into the car either. That's what he told his brother.
Why weren't there tags on the car?
Because I couldn't pass the Department of Environmental Quality.
What kind of car is this?
It's an '83 Dodge Rampage, and basically it was negligence on my part not having.
What's $575 from
This
rental car?
resulted after the car. I got it out of impound, and when I got in it to drive it, there's puke everywhere, and there was a knock in the motor, and then the motor seized up. I don't know if that's because when the car was sitting there idling, it tends to get really hot, and if it wasn't shut off, it could do some damage.
I'm not paying for a rental car for you, sir. What other damages did you have?
I had my towing fees, and
I have
missed
your towing
6
fees?
6 days of work
6 days of work? Why?
because I had no car.
You had no car anyway. They had expired tags.
Well, all I needed was a temporary permit.
You didn't have it.
Correct.
So you had no car anyway.
Well, I guess technically no.
Right. So if your car isn't registered, you have no car. You have to be responsible. You drive a car, it has to be registered, it has to have proper insurance, but that doesn't mean he can trash your car and say it's not his fault because it didn't have good tags. He was drunk when he took it. He shouldn't have gotten behind the wheel of the car while he was intoxicated. He's got to pay for certain basic fees. If you had had the car cleaned and detailed, I would have charged him for that too.
Your Honor, I offered to clean the car first thing the day I got out of jail. I apologize for everything. We went there to go get the car out of the impound, and we got almost completely there, and we had to turn around because his license was expired. And
So you
I
got
don't
in the
think
car
he had
anyway.
insurance.
Who was driving?
Me.
She was.
I had just taken, we were just getting ready to take Jason to the impound so he could get his car out, and he said, wait, I cannot go. I don't have insurance and I have an expired license.
So he had no car anyway. So who cares whether he rented a car? How did they rent you a car?
Well, the fact of the matter is I did have insurance. And
How did they rent you a car if you had an expired license?
It was not expired.
What was it?
It was valid. It was a valid Oregon driver's license.
Your Honor, he stated clearly to me that it was not it was already expired.
And that he had no insurance.
Well, in order to rent a car in the state of Oregon, you have to have all the proper
I would say so. That's really interesting.
insurance.
That's really interesting that he was able to rent a car. Who knows? In any event, he owes you $243.50. Judgment for the plaintiff. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Order. All rise.
Your Honor, this is case number 471 on the calendar in the matter of Livingston versus Joseph. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Mr. Livingston, you are a plumber by trade. Is that correct?
Correct.
And Mr. Joseph, you are a carpenter by trade.
That's correct.
According to your complaint, Mr. Livingston, two of you didn't get along very well. But there came a time when you claimed that Mr. Joseph assaulted you.
That's correct, Your Honor.
And on what date did this incident occur?
February 11th of 2000.
When had the difficulty between the two of you started?
The difficulty started prior to that job on another job.
So you knew him from before this job?
Correct.
So when you found yourselves working together on this project, that wasn't a happy time?
No.
Now tell me what happened on February 11th.
February 11th, I arrived on a job site approximately 10 after 8. When I walked in, I was confronted by him saying,
that I had left the driveway open for you, but I guess you're going to wear the skirt today. And I ignored it, turned around.
What does that mean? I guess you're going to wear the skirt.
It just that I'm a wimp or a wuss. And approximately 10:30, I heard from the other side of the shear wall, was about 17 feet away.
What's a shear wall?
A shear wall is a wall between another room and it's half-inch plywood. He was up on the top of the railing and he was shooting down at me with a nail gun. And I have, Your Honor, the evidence of what a nail gun looks like. This is the type of nail gun that could maim or kill
Is
me.
that the nail gun that of a similar type that he was using on
Correct.
that day? Okay, go ahead.
And as that shot at the wall, a rack of these nails can be shot off in about 7 seconds. I had then come around the wall. He was standing there with an evil grin on his face, looking down at me. I called him very obscenity names, and I said, "Why did you shoot that nail gun at me?" Then he says, "I'm going to come down there and kick your..." He come all the way down the ladder, threw his belt off his waist, first nail gun, and come down the ladder, got into my face, and then I backed up, and I turned around, and when I turned around, he had grabbed me from the backside and went against the stud wall, and that's when the wall had hit the side of my ribs.
And you have photographs of your
Yes, I
injuries.
do.
I'd like to see them, please. Well, I can't see anything around your midsection, sir, because you have a girdle on.
That's for the broken rib. That's a pressure bandage.
All right. Do you have a hospital report?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it, please.
If Your Honor, if I may call my wife, if we could, for all the pain and suffering and...
Not necessary, sir. Just show me the hospital report. It's right there. Give her the whole packet.
Them are all the correspondence with the hospital.
Now we'll hear your version of the event, sir.
Well, it started actually in '99, probably about a month beforehand, and one of my carpenters nailed through that shear panel and hit his pipe, and he didn't mean to hit his pipe, but when he found out that he hit his pipe...
I heard about that. That's when all the bad blood started between the two of you. Let's get to February 11th.
Very, very irate. And
let's get to February 11th, sir.
Okay. A day before that, he pulled up to the job site and wanted more access to the driveway, and we were all up in scaffold in the air, 30, 40 feet in the air, and it wasn't possible for us to come down. He became irate and red-faced at that time, took his car, slammed it in reverse, and backed up, missing my vehicle by inches. This is from other people like Matt.
All right, he missed your car, didn't hit your car, missed your car.
He missed my car, came in and cussing and screaming.
So he didn't have access to get his truck in there easily the day before, so he was angry.
He was very angry.
Okay, so now let's get to February 11th.
Okay, February 11th. He came with an attitude like he did the day before.
So he was angry?
Yes. I did shoot the nails.
I know you did. That's what you said.
Okay.
You said you shot the nails, and not only did you shoot the nails, but you said something to him when you were shooting the nails. According to you.
Yeah, I was jokingly trying to encourage him to get out of the mood he was in. When I said dance, pipe boy. And,
right, that's what you said. And that, Mr. Joseph, is what, quite frankly, pardon the pun on words, put the nail in your coffin.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you why. Because there had been, evidently, bad blood between the two of you. You knew he was angry. You were not trying to cajole him into a better mood. Did you think that by pointing that gun and shooting in his direction, although not at him, that you were going to make him feel better by saying, dance, pipe boy? Did you think you were going to make him feel better?
May I respond in defense? 2 weeks prior...
I want you to answer my question. Did you think that you were going to make him feel better by shooting the nails from that gun in his direction and saying, dance, pipe boy?
I honestly did, because he always is joking around with everybody on the job site.
But he wasn't joking around with you that day, sir, because you say right here in your answer, Mr. Joseph, It was evident that he was in his usual hostile mood.
I was trying to change his mood.
By shooting?
Yes.
By shooting those things in his direction?
For joking around with him. May I defend myself? Because 2 weeks prior to this, I was building a water heater platform, and I was having trouble reaching a nail, so I handed him my nail gun, and he took the nail gun and pointed it at his coworker's head. Matt Taylor was my witness to this.
Yes.
And he pointed up to his head, so if he's saying that it is so deadly of a weapon, why is he pointing at this gun that was live to the head of someone? When I shoot a nail gun during the day, people walk behind the walls all the time when I hold it up close. I was 35 feet away. There was nowhere for the round to get him at all. He was in perfect safety. Actually, I thought he was in the garage. He was in perfect safety.
You couldn't have thought he was in the garage, sir, because your statement, Dance Pipe Boy, was directed to him. He was the only pipe boy around.
I knew he was in the general vicinity, and I knew he could overhear me when I said that.
Oh, Mr. Joseph, come on. You precipitated this altercation. You started this altercation.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. James Livingston says co-worker Douglas Joseph body slammed him. Douglas says he was only playing.
So now you've shot this nail gun in his general direction, although not according to you at him, and words are exchanged. You're up on the second floor, correct?
That's correct.
He's on the first floor. Did he come up to the second floor where you were at?
No, ma'am. He...
No, the answer is no. Did you exit the second floor and come down to the first floor?
Yes, ma'am.
Why?
Because he was calling me down. He was calling me down with profanity and telling me he was going to kick my ass.
So that seems like a perfect time for me to stay where I am. Somebody is threatening you. Somebody, I mean, I see the way you look. I see, how old are you?
I'm 33 years old.
How old are you?
38.
Okay. How much do you weigh?
162 pounds.
How much do you weigh?
250 pounds.
So it seems to me you don't have much of a risk from him coming up to you and beating you with his plunger, right?
Right.
So you come down from the second floor because he was calling you names. And what happened when you came downstairs, Mr. Joseph?
We did stand toe-to-toe, and he was blurting out vulgar language at the whole time. And I said, "You're not worth going to jail for." I turned and walked away, turned my cheek and walked the other way. And he blurts out, I can't even say it on TV, or he's bleeping things. But I became angry at that point when I turned and I went to push him. And as I pushed him, I tripped and fell on this hardware that he was mumbling about. And he jumped on my back and started choking me. And so...
So you went to push him.
I went to push him,
and
but I fell.
No, you went to push him. That's not what you said. You said you went to push him, and as I did, I fell.
Right.
Then you're down on the ground, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
You're down, flat down on the ground.
I'm down on my knees and my hands.
And what happened?
He jumped my back and started choking my neck. I couldn't breathe.
Yes.
So then I feared for my life. I grabbed his sweatshirt, and I couldn't breathe, so I tried to erect myself, and I pushed us back into the wall. And at that point, I gained control. And I put him in head and arm and around his body, and that's it. No punches were done.
Well, he was injured, sir. He had a fractured rib.
Yeah. Dewey, the electrician, told me he was loading his four-wheeler and broke his rib doing that. He told me.
Don't tell. I'm not interested in what somebody else told you, sir. That's hearsay. That's hearsay. Now, he went to the hospital on the 11th. What's 16:45 hours?
That's 4:45 in the afternoon.
May I introduce Matt Taylor? He's my witness.
I saw the argument in the morning.
You saw it from the beginning, Mr. Taylor?
Yes, I did. I saw him.
Where was Mr. Joseph?
He was upstairs with me, second floor.
And did you see him with a gun similar to that in his hand?
Yes, I did.
Did you have any conversation with him, Mr. Taylor, prior to him pointing the gun downward and shooting off a round?
No.
He didn't say to you, look what I'm going to do, or I'm just fooling around?
No.
How many rounds did he fire off?
3?
When he fired off those rounds, did you see the plaintiff?
No, I didn't. He was behind the shear wall.
Did you ask Mr. Joseph what he was doing?
No.
Well, wouldn't that seem like a logical thing to ask?
Well, I knew that I knew Mr. Livingston wasn't in any danger from
That's not what I asked you. You saw the defendant shooting off rounds of that gun in a way that was not meant to do any business that you were there to do, right?
Right.
Well, what did you think he was doing, sir?
I thought he was messing around.
Messing around with what?
A nail gun.
Messing around how? Just look at me, sir. Messing around how?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
Well, I didn't know what he was doing. He was shooting off the nail gun. I knew he was messing around with the plumber.
Okay, so you knew he was messing around with the plumber with the nail gun.
Yes. Yes, sir.
There we go. So after he shot off 3 rounds with the nail gun, what did you hear him say?
I heard him say, "Dance, pipe boy."
Now, you were on the 2nd floor. Do you see how quietly you said that to me, "Dance, pipe boy"? I want you to use your voice, Mr. Taylor, and in a voice that replicates how Mr. Joseph communicated "Dance, pipe boy" to the plaintiff. I want you to tell me how that sounded from the 2nd floor. Let's hear it, Mr. Taylor.
He said, "Dance, pipe boy."
You want me to put you up on the 2nd floor and see if I could hear that? With all the other noise that's going on in a house that's being renovated? You want to try that one more time?
He said, "Dance, pipe boy."
That sounds more like it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You came downstairs and took off your belt to fight.
Negative.
Oh, yes, you started it. And whatever happened after that, you deserved it.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. James Livingston says coworker Douglas Joseph body slammed him. Douglas says he was only playing.
And when he said "Dance, pipe boy," see how you laughed and you smiled when you said that to me? Did you smile?
No, I didn't.
You didn't smile. Did you laugh?
No.
Was he laughing?
No.
Wasn't?
No.
And then what did you see, sir?
I saw Mr. Livingston come out from around the corner, and for a while he was taunting Doug, you know, lots
Cursing
of verbal
at him.
abuse, cursing at him.
Cursing at him.
And then I saw Doug he went downstairs.
Did he go downstairs by ladder?
Yes.
And did he put down the gun before he started to descend the ladder?
Yes.
And what about his tool belt?
He took that off. He took that off when he got down there.
Did he take that off as soon as he got down from the ladder?
No.
So he was wearing it.
Yes.
And when did he take off his tool belt?
The second time he went down, when...
Second time?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me about the first time he went down.
The first time he went down was after Mr. Livingston started calling him a bunch of names. He went down, he said that it wasn't worth it, came back up, and then Mr. Livingston started yelling at him some more, and he went back down, and then he took off his tool belt.
May I respond in defense to myself? He was saying that I knew you weren't going to do anything about it. Like, he wanted to fight, and I didn't want to fight. I tried to walk away from it the whole time.
You could have?
I could have.
Oh, you could have, Mr. Joseph. All you had to do was not come downstairs the second time and take off your belt.
How much verbal abuse can someone take?
Do you hear that?
Yeah, I just...
Do you hear that?
When it goes on for months, they've had 5 complaints about him with other trades and everything, about how vulgar his language is and how...
That's why, Mr. Joseph, I don't believe you when you say to me that you shot the gun at him in an attempt to change his mood from foul to fair. I don't believe you. What I think you wanted to do was just give him a good one. And you not only shot this gun at him, which could place him at risk because, let's say, it happened that one of those nails hit another nail, hit a pipe, ricocheted, caused some damage. You would have been very sorry that that happened. You would have said it was an accident. I didn't mean to hurt him. But bottom line was, you started it. And whatever happened after that, whatever foul language he was using, whatever names he was calling you or your mother, whatever he was doing, you deserved it. So you didn't come down once. So you didn't tell me that. You actually went upstairs without taking off your belt. According to this gentleman, you came downstairs and took off your belt to fight.
Negative.
Oh, yes, you did. You took off your belt in order to fight, because otherwise there is absolutely no reason for you to take off your belt. You didn't do it the first time.
I believe I did do it the first time, actually.
Not according to your witness. According to your witness, he said you went up the first time, right? With the belt. Came back upstairs with the belt. Didn't take the belt off until he came down a second time, right?
Right.
You've been most helpful. Sit down. So, Mr. Joseph, sticks and stones will break my bones, but names will never hurt me. I'm sure that that's something that you heard at your mother's knee at some time during your life, and it's too bad that you didn't follow through. You started this incident on this job site. You started it. You started it by behaving irresponsibly with a very serious piece of equipment. And I'm not saying that Mr. Livingston, by responding and calling you names and cursing at you, was a gentleman. But boy, if somebody did that to me, let's just say this. Are you married?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have children?
Yes, ma'am.
How old are your children?
They're 10, 11, 12, 13.
Let's say a 15-year-old boy doesn't like your 10-year-old and has one of those dart guns and takes out one of those dart guns and starts shooting it in your son's direction.
May I defend your leading?
No, I want to ask you that question.
Actually, an incident happened to my son just the other day where he was beat up by 3 of the neighbor boys, and I walked over to the neighbor after just relaxing about it and talking to her, and said, I know that boys will do things, and he had a hurt rib and a bloody nose.
And you went over and said, I know that boys will do things.
Yeah,
Really?
They beat him up, and he was in tears, and everyone, you know, and I responded like, you know, I was in fear of my son, but an hour later I realized that he might have done something to begin with to do something, and then they might have taunted him or something like that, you know.
Really?
And I think they were both
You are such a good person. Somebody did that to one of my kids, boy, even joking around. I wouldn't like that, would you?
Not at all.
Not at all. Not at all.
I admit that I was angry at first, but I waited an hour and a half.
Well, you calmed down.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what you should have done.
Yes, ma'am.
So you got to pay for that.
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Order. All rise. Now, this is case number 459 on the calendar in the matter of McLeod Tenori versus Webb. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
All right. Planning a wedding, first wedding for both of you?
Yes.
Yes.
You hired the defendant to do the catering. You were expecting about 150 people. She gave you a price of a little over $500 to do all the catering for 150 people. So far, is that right?
Correct. That's correct.
That's some bargain. Night before the wedding, you were arrested, had some outstanding matter with the police. You were pulled over for a traffic violation, held overnight. You called them from jail?
Actually, Your Honor, I had to call my mother at 6 o'clock that morning and ask her to get in touch with a partner of mine that was supposed to help me prepare for the wedding. And she got in touch with my partner at 9 o'clock that morning.
Okay. In any event, you were ultimately contacted, told you wasn't coming. You had to hustle and scramble and find a deli and get sandwiches and whatever to feed these 150 people. You not only want your deposit back, you want $5,000 from her because you say she spoiled your whole day. Right?
That's accurate.
It's never going to happen. Understand that it's never going to happen. The defendant did, in fact, volunteer to give you $1,000, right?
That's correct.
You said, I'm prepared to give you $1,000 for your aggravation and everything else. I feel terrible. What happened? And you said no. Why did you say no?
First of all, Your Honor, she didn't contact us until December 18th, 2 months and 4 days after the wedding, after she'd been served with the court case.
You mean she didn't send you back your deposit either?
No, wouldn't even return my phone calls. And we didn't find out.
Then you got angry.
Well, partially. I also spoke to a lot of lawyers and people, and they said when you sue for the maximum, and then you see what you can get, you barter or whatever, so. Your Honor. Your Honor.
That's why lawyers have such a bad reputation.
Your Honor, the reason why I didn't contact her as soon as I got released, which is after 11 days, I missed 3 weeks of work. I got out to almost being evicted, and I had a tragedy in my family. There was a lot of things going on when I got out. And I also tried to contact her before I was served, and when I spoke with her, she told me that she was on her honeymoon and that she did not receive any of my messages.
What were you incarcerated for the 11 days?
For not showing up, for being a material witness in an assault case, which was my past landlord. And at that time, my landlord had been threatening me, so I moved.
whatever. So you were served to appear as a witness in a criminal case. You didn't appear.
Right.
What do you expect to get from her?
Well, I think mostly it was the cost we incurred. Our wedding, we served hot dogs instead of the elegant meal we had planned.
You weren't going to get an elegant meal for $500 for 150 people.
Well, actually, when we interviewed with her, I asked those questions because we were inviting people from all over the country, and no one traveled less than an hour because we were in the mountains where we got married.
$500, you don't get a big spread.
I know, and I even have the stuff she faxed me, and I questioned it. She showed us books to say, you know, people cooked the food for her. That's how she was able to do it.
If it looks too good to be true, it's usually not true. You look like an intelligent lady. Did you ultimately have a good time at your wedding?
I think the only time I really remember was the actual ceremony.
That's great.
We never went over to the tables. We never even ate the food. It was taboo, and I was so humiliated and embarrassed. I didn't, you know, want to even start crying in front of my guests. So.
Okay. It will be a day you will remember.
We've got stories, that's for sure.
That's for sure.
But
Miss Webb, did you make an offer to them to compensate them in the amount of $1,000?
Yes, I did.
Why did you do that?
Because, Your Honor, I felt very terrible that I could not be there to cater her wedding. That's what I love to do.
Why didn't your partner get over there with some of the food?
Evidently, she wasn't true. She wasn't a real friend.
Excuse me, Your Honor.
What?
Can I say one more thing? We actually didn't find out that Alicia wasn't coming until 3 o'clock, and the wedding was due at 4:30.
It's a situation that was unavoidable.
Well, right.
It's not as if she blew off your wedding to do something else.
Well, I don't
she
know.
would have much preferred to do your wedding than to be incarcerated. So the only question is, what are your damages? And what damages can you reasonably expect from the defendant? Now, she certainly has to return your deposit to you, which is $200, right?
Correct.
She has offered you $1,000, and I think that that is a pretty reasonable offer under the circumstances. So that's my judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Some of the more elegant things was like a fondue pot with Baileys and chocolate drizzled on tea biscuits, and these folks ate hot dogs.
I checked with other catering companies, and they would have been spending like $2,000 for 150 people.
And now the next case.
All parties on Hart versus Kirby. Step forward, please.
18-year-old salesperson Jennifer Hart is suing former friend, 18-year-old package handler Brian Kirby, for damage to her car and stealing money from her wallet.
Ms. Hart, according to your complaint, the defendant caused damage to your car and stole your wallet or money from your wallet. The defendant said he was in your car, but he didn't cause the kind of damage you're talking about. From what I gather from these papers, you were at the defendant's house visiting an ex-boyfriend or something who was also there. Mr. Kirby, according to you, you believed that the plaintiff's boyfriend had stolen money from your father. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
So in order to get the money back for your father, tell me what you did.
It's like can I tell you, start from my point of view?
Now listen to me. You believe that the plaintiff's boyfriend went into your father's room and stole money. Is that right?
Yes.
So you decided to do something to the plaintiff's car, right?
No.
Did you go into the plaintiff's car?
Yes, ma'am.
What did you do in the plaintiff's car?
I opened up her car door, and then I proceeded to press the button because it's a detachable city face. Took the city.
I don't know what you're talking about. Press a button and it's a detachable city face. I have no idea what that is.
All right, the CD face comes off of the CD player, and I took the CD face off the CD player and put it in my jacket, and then walked to my house.
And was she inside of your house at the time?
Yes.
So she didn't know that you were doing that?
No.
Now, what did she have to do with money that the boyfriend allegedly stole from your father?
Well, she's the one that brought him into my house.
Had you ever met the boyfriend before?
Yeah, he hangs around with my little brother.
So he'd been to your house before?
Yes.
So he wasn't a stranger coming into your house?
But through the grapevine, I heard that...
I don't care what you heard through the grapevine. Through the grapevine, you don't talk about in court.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 18-year-old salesperson Jennifer Hart is suing former friend, 18-year-old package handler Brian Kirby, for damage to her car and stealing money from her wallet.
Now, the boyfriend had been to your house before?
Yes.
Fine. So, knocks at the door, Jennifer comes in with the boyfriend, sits in your house. Go ahead.
So then we proceeded back to my room, and we's back there shooting the breeze. So I asked them if they're thirsty, and they say yes. So I get up to go get some pop. So I'm walking back to my room, and I see Josh, like, jump back, and I knew that he was snooping in my room. So then I walk in my room, I'm getting all loud with him. I'm like, man, what are you doing snooping around in my stuff, man? You're supposed to show me more respect than that. You know what I'm saying? He is in my house. He should show me respect, not going through my stuff. That's not showing me any kind of respect. So then he jumps up, punches me. I fall down on the couch. I grabbed him, slammed him down on the couch. Then my brother hears all this commotion. He runs back there. Him and Jennifer break it up. Well, Jennifer pulls her boyfriend into the bathroom. That's when I went outside and took the CD face off of her CD player. So then I'm walking back in my house, and she has no idea.
So far, I haven't heard anything about your father's money.
Well, before I went out to the car, my brother's like, the stuff is missing, the money and the watch. I'm like, all right, so I used the CD face as collateral in order to get my stuff back, which I never received back. So then I come back in my house, and her and her boyfriend's coming out, and she's like, I think it's time for us to leave. So I was like, yeah, get out of my effing house. You know what I'm saying? All this stuff's coming up missing, and it was there before they came into my house. So then Jennifer and her boyfriend walk outside, they're getting in the car, and I look out the window to make sure they're gone. Well, Jennifer comes running back up saying, somebody stole her CD player. So then I reached into my jacket, I was like, nobody stole your CD player. I handed her back your CD face, shut the door in her face. Then 2 days later, I received all these threatening phone calls from her boyfriend and his brother saying they're going to beat me and my little brother up and all kinds of stuff. So I had to get my phone number changed because they're harassing me. And
that's your story?
Yeah.
All right. Now, Miss Hart, show me the damage to your car.
Do you want the estimates too? Or just the pictures?
Let's just see the pictures first.
Okay.
Well, it looks as if, unless this was done before, it was more than just pressing a little button and the face comes off here. I mean, I'm not good with electrical stuff, Bird.
Ooh. Yeah, that's a lot more damage than the face coming off, Judge.
Let me see the estimate.
This one was for the parts of the car, and that's for the CD player and the installation, I believe.
That's for the CD player, parts for the car.
Okay. And what about this wallet, Miss Hart?
Whenever I went into Brian's house, he said that I went there with Josh. Josh was already there whenever I got there. I got off work and went over there to see them. And
what word didn't you understand? I said wallet.
It was laying in the middle of my seats whenever I went into the house. Whenever I went back out and noticed that my stuff was gone, all the money was out of it, and he said that he didn't do it.
He might not have done it.
I don't know who else would have. He was the only one that got in my car.
Was your car open?
I left it unlocked because I'd been over there many times before. Yeah.
You left it unlocked?
Yeah.
What kind of brains does it take to leave your wallet with money in an unlocked car?
I've been over to their house like so many times.
I don't care whether you were over
before.
at their house. I don't care if you were in a monastery. People with intelligence don't leave their wallet in the middle of a console with money in it in an unlocked car. You got me?
Yeah.
Good. Now, this is not a very difficult case, Mr. Kirby. What you did that day was to commit a crime, and you could have been arrested for it because you went into her car, you defaced her property. You had no right to enter her car. It wasn't even Miss Hart that you thought had taken property out of your house. It was somebody else that you were holding her responsible for. You can't do that. Do you understand?
Yes.
Have you ever been arrested before?
Yes.
Look at me.
Yes.
For what? Look at me.
Contributing to a minor.
Contributing to a minor? Contributing to the delinquency of a minor?
Yes.
In what context, sir? How old are you?
18.
So that must have been a rather recent arrest.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yes.
And the minor was a female?
Yes.
Who was under the age of 16?
Yes.
And was that your only arrest, Mr. Kirby? Is not an answer.
No, I got arrested twice. The second time was for stealing some condoms.
Some condoms?
Yes, out of Marsh.
That was in and around the time you were contributing to the delinquency of a minor?
No, that was after.
Oh. The damage, as indicated in your estimates, Ms. Hart, is $664. Judgment for the plaintiff in that amount. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Step forward, please.
21-year-old Army National Guardsman Heather Johnson and her fiancé, 22-year-old telecommunications technician Sean Abbots, are suing 34-year-old hotel maintenance manager Jeff Lacasse for unpaid wages and a deposit on a car.
All right, this is not a very difficult case. I'm going to start with Mr. Lacasse. Mr. Lacasse, you knew the plaintiff casually, I assume. He did a little bit of work for you at some point?
Yes, Your Honor.
And that's another small part of this lawsuit, that he says you owe him for a day's pay. Do you owe him for a day's pay?
The hotel that I work for owes him for a day's pay.
Did you ask him to work for you for that day?
I asked him to work for the hotel. We were doing, to expound on that a little bit, we were doing the installation of some furniture at the hotel.
Did he ever sign anything with the hotel?
I don't think so.
Well, if he didn't sign anything with the hotel, sir, and you asked him to work, were you in charge of this project?
Yes, I was.
Then you pay him, because he was never paid. And if you were in charge of the project and you didn't see to it that he got signed up to be put on the hotel's payroll, you pay him. I'll figure that out in a minute. Let's get to the real crux of this lawsuit. You sold him a car.
Yes, I did.
For $900.
Yes, I did.
According to you, he gave you $200 in cash at some point. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
And he also gave you a check.
That's correct.
And before he gave you the cash, he gave you the check.
That's correct.
And he said to you that the check may bounce.
That's correct.
Later. And he said, let me give you the cash instead. So he gave you the cash. But you and your wife went and deposited the check.
The check had been deposited before the cash was received.
Fine. And you got the money for the check?
We did not. The check went bad. It went insufficient funds. We were given $200 for the check.
So all you got so far was $200?
That's correct.
Okay. In any event, he had the car for a little more than a week's time. You couldn't come to terms with method of payment on the car, so you took the car back.
That's correct.
And you're keeping the $200?
Yes, I am.
What makes you think that you're entitled to keep the $200?
When we first went to sell the truck, I purchased a battery so the truck would start. It had been sitting for over a year. And then there are phone calls that I made several times over and over and over again to try to get one of either Mr. Abbott's or Miss Johnson to call me to let me know what was going on, and then my time and efforts to go get the truck and bring it back to my residence.
How far does he live from where you are?
Probably about 25, 30 miles.
Not a big deal.
No.
He told you initially when you gave him the car that he probably would not be able to pay for this all at one time.
That's correct.
So?
Well,
you knew money was tight?
The situation was, though, is that he also told me that he was going to be getting a loan from his step-grandmother.
He was going to try to get a loan.
He was going to try.
Try.
But
what he said was, I'm going to try to get a loan.
That's very true.
Well, he didn't get the loan. So you knew he had difficulty. You knew you had this old truck laying there that you hadn't started for a year. So, did you sell the truck?
I sold the truck to him.
After you repossessed it.
No, we did not sell the truck. I kept it.
He drives it to
Oh,
work.
just a second. Because now it's working, right? Right?
Yes, ma'am.
It's working. All right, easy case. You got the truck, you want to give him the truck, or you want to give him the $200?
I'll give him the $200.
Perfect. Now let's talk about the day's pay. How many hours did you work?
I worked 7 hours.
Which was, you were supposed to be paid $8 an hour?
$56, yeah, total.
Fine. It's easy. Anything else? What do you want to say?
Your Honor, I would just like to say, in regards back to the truck, if I may, the $200 that was given to us as a down for the truck, it wasn't the whole amount. The agreement was the $900, and we were willing to work with them. But after almost 3 weeks went by, after phone call trying to get a hold of them.
They didn't have the car 3 weeks.
Yes, ma'am, they did. They did have the car for 3 weeks.
Shh. I read all the papers. You made the deal with him on the 29th of August, and on September 12th, you repossessed the car. All right, listen to me. You say you had to put in a battery, right? You're driving the truck.
But
you're driving the truck. Do you drive it to work?
Yes, ma'am, I do now.
Perfect. You don't expect him to pay for that. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $256. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
That's all right.
Well, they wanted their $200 back, and I can understand that. I'm somewhat pleased. It really doesn't matter because I'm going to Disneyland.
I just wish they could have been more friends about it, since we were friends in the past.
Order. All rise.
This is case number 488 on the calendar in the matter of Houghton versus Nicolay.
Thank you.
Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat, please.
Let me see if I understand this case. Miss Horton, your husband was incarcerated.
Right.
And while he was incarcerated, you were living not far from the defendant.
Correct.
You had an arrangement where your husband would make collect calls to her phone from prison in order to talk to you.
Correct. It was from county jail.
And there was quite a bill that was amassed, over $400 worth of collect phone calls. At some point, you agreed to sign over title to an old truck that's about 20 years old to the defendant to hold as collateral for the monies that you owed her for the phone bill.
Not exactly. The title for the truck was only to be used just
a second. You agreed to sign over the title to her?
Yes.
Yes. To ensure that your husband paid the bill?
Actually, what was the whole point? The point about the title and me giving it to Pam was so she can use for leverage so Michael could buy back the title because it was his truck, and she figured he would actually be more apt to pay the phone bill for his title to the truck because that was his only...
Whatever. It was really to be held as collateral until the bill was paid.
The title.
The truck. Not the title. The title isn't worth anything. The title is just a piece of paper. Your husband got out of jail, and an agreement was not worked out, I assume. Your husband went and took the truck. At some point, your husband went and took the truck from where? Miss Nicolay.
Actually, she stole it from my house on November the 15th.
Who came and took the truck from the house?
Dolores and the tow truck driver that she supposedly is having an affair with.
I don't care. Okay. Now, what you want is, you want the truck back. Do you have the truck now?
No, I sold it.
Sold it? When did you sell it?
I sold it, actually I signed title over a few days ago to a gentleman that had purchased it.
So this is February?
Yes.
Between the time that she signed the truck over to you, which was when?
She signed it over on September the 18th.
And when did he get out of jail?
He got out in October.
Between October and February, when you signed title over to somebody else, did he pay you the money for the phone bill?
No, he did not. He called me up and said that we had agreed on $430 and I would turn the truck over to him. And there you have a Thunderbird that's been sitting on our property that I agreed to store. And that and the truck he was to pick up on November the 15th. And that's the date that they stole it.
November 15th, he was supposed to bring you the money.
He was supposed to bring the money and remove both the vehicles from the property. And that day they stole the Blazer from the property.
You mean she came with the truck?
The tow truck gentleman, when I was not on my property, and loaded it up onto the vehicle, the back of the tow truck.
Okay, where's the husband now?
As far as I know, he was taken back to jail.
He was released. He was taken to jail.
She knows a lot more about your husband than you do.
Because
he was released. When?
I don't know. I talked to the CHP officer, and they said that they released him. Parole did.
Okay. So, Miss Horton, what do you want?
All I wanted was for Michael to have his truck back, because at the time I had already purchased a vehicle.
No, what do you want now?
What do I want now?
Yeah.
To take all this back where it originally started, because it wasn't for her to have to do with whatever she wanted to do with. It wasn't her. She got
no,
a truck.
I'm asking what you're suing for now.
For the vehicle, because it wasn't hers to sell.
Sure it was. She had the title.
But I didn't sign it for that purpose. Her and I
signed
were
it
friends.
over to her so that she could get paid from your husband for the phone calls that he had made to you collect. He got out of jail. He didn't pay her for the phone bill. What did you expect her to do?
Well,
you want to be standing over there and she's standing over here and saying you owe me $430 for a phone bill?
Actually, that would be all right, because it wasn't between me and her. It was between Michael and her. And
no, it wasn't.
She had talked to Michael on the phone.
No, it wasn't originally. According to you, it wasn't originally. According to you, the title to the truck rested in you. You had the ability to sign over the title to her. You did. You did. And you said, this is your story. You said, I thought she could use it for leverage to get Michael to pay the phone bill. That's what you told me. That's what you said right here.
Partially, because originally the truck title was in Dolores and Michael, or Dolores and Michael. And
whatever,
Pam,
I don't care about that. The title to the truck is in your name. According to your complaint, you say that you wanted her to hold the truck to give her leverage to get Michael to pay the bill. That's what you say.
That was something we both had discussed for my best
Fine, that's what
interest.
you decided to do. So she said, fine, I want my phone bill paid, and if I can't get my phone bill paid, at least I have something from this jailbird who's in and out of jail all the time. Right? She knew she wasn't going to get a sou out of you. Why didn't you pay the phone bill? It's your husband.
I had attempted to pay in ways of helping her with her mom's...
Not helping her. Straighten out a house and babysitting her children. I'm talking about paying her cash money, U.S. dollars, to pay for her phone bill. The phone company doesn't accept babysitting services.
Well,
the phone company accepts cash money.
For one, I wasn't the one who was accepting the phone calls. I didn't tell her to do it.
Did you ask her if you could collect phone calls from my husband so I could talk to him?
No. Michael had asked her and her son before they even discussed it with me because...
Go ahead.
No. Actually...
Yeah, she's full of baloney. I got that already.
Actually, she had received a few phone calls before I'd even known that the phone calls were receiving at my mother's home. My mother is an elderly lady, and she has Alzheimer's disease, which lives on our property. My son stays down there with her. And Dolores was going down there and receiving the telephone calls.
Before you even knew about it?
Right.
That sound right to you?
I think DJ was the one who accepted the phone calls.
Whatever. It's not her responsibility. It's not her responsibility. It's your husband.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Dolores Houghton says former friend Pamela Nicolay owes her for a Chevy Blazer. Pamela says the truck was collateral for collect calls made from jail by Dolores's husband.
You want to say to him, don't call here, collect anymore? I'm not going to be here to speak to you because I don't want to incur any bills?
I did try that.
You tried it, but it didn't work. All you have to do is not go to the phone.
And there was times I never went to the phone.
I'm not talking about times you never went to the phone. $430 worth, you did go to the phone.
Okay, I went to the phone.
According to you, it's not your truck anyway. It's Michael's truck, right? Is that what you just told me? It was Michael's truck? So what are you doing here? You want money from her?
No, I was wanting Michael to get his truck back so
He can't get his truck back. She sold it. So what do you want?
I guess if she wanted her $400 phone bill, she got paid her $400 phone bill. And in reality, if I sold her the truck, well, how much did I sell it to her for? $400?
How much did you get for the truck?
I had to put a lot of money back into it, but I sold it for $1,500.
Good. So you made a profit.
After Michael put a transmission in it.
After they stole it, they put a transmission in it.
Well, that was nice of him.
Yeah.
He should have saved the money that he spent on the transmission and given her her phone bill.
He got a transmission.
24-year-old former babysitter Charity McCumber is suing one-time client, 27-year-old waitress Chastity Newby, for terminating her daycare services without proper notice. Chastity says Charity neglected her children. She's countersuing for medical bills and lost wages.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom. All rise. Miss. Your Honor, this is case number 84 on the calendar in the matter of McCumber versus Newby. You're welcome. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats.
Miss McCumber, according to the complaint that I have read, you were employed by the defendant as a babysitter for her two children, her little girl who was 5 and a baby who was a year and a half old. You claim that she fired you.
Yes.
She fired you owing you money.
Yes.
And she has some of your property. The defendant says that she owes you nothing and is counterclaiming because she says that because of your negligence, one of her children was hospitalized for 3 days. How did you come to work for her?
A friend of mine had gotten my number from her, and then she contacted me because I was going to start a child daycare center. And she didn't want to bring the children to my home, so I went to her home.
Are you a licensed daycare provider?
I'm getting my license.
So you are not a licensed
No.
daycare provider. Do you have your own children?
I have one son.
How old is your son?
He's 10 months.
So you would be watching 3 children.
Right.
And what was the salary arrangement?
I was supposed to get paid $15 a day for the baby and $12 a day for the 5-year-old.
So a total of $27 a day.
Correct. She was also to give me a 2-week notice if she wasn't gonna, if she was gonna have another babysitter.
Okay, is that correct?
No, that's not correct.
What's not correct?
There was no verbal agreement about a 2-week notice, either on my part or her part.
Okay. Were there any problems that occurred between the time you started to work for her, which was the 15th of February?
Correct.
And mid-April when you were fired?
There was a couple times where she had called me complaining that I was not taking care of her children right, that I wasn't giving them enough attention, I wasn't feeding them correct.
What happened in April?
I had to go and pick up my nephew from preschool, and I had told her on Monday I had to get him on Friday. And I took the children with me, and I had the baby and my son in a car seat, and I had the 5-year-old in the front seat with a seatbelt. When we got there, I went inside and grabbed my nephew.
That's not where you would normally put the 5-year-old, is that right?
No, I put her in the front seat just like her mom does.
There's no airbags in my car.
Go ahead.
When I got to the preschool, my son was sleeping, and the night before I had taken him to the emergency room. And I didn't get home until midnight, and my son did not sleep the rest of the night. So since he was sleeping, I didn't want to disturb him because it was the first time he had gotten to sleep. I knew I just had to go into the door, grab my nephew, and come right back out. So I didn't see any harm in leaving the 5-year-old with the 2 children, since he was sleeping, running in and coming right back. I was gone maybe 1 to 2 minutes. That was it. Actually, the night before, when I went to the emergency room, I had asked her to if she could find somebody else to watch her children because my son was so sick. She told me she would try to get her aunt.
Just a minute. We're going back. You left the 3 children in the car.
Correct.
And I assume you locked the car.
Yes.
Where do you live?
Kingman, Arizona.
What was the temperature in April?
It was probably like 80, 85 at the time.
Did you leave the car on or off?
I left it off with the windows rolled down.
With the windows rolled down?
The windows were up.
Just a second. So anybody could have come in the car in that minute or two?
There were people outside, and I had asked one of the teachers to watch the car.
How old was your nephew that you were picking up?
4.
Where did you put your nephew in the car?
In the back seat.
Strapped in?
Yes.
Why didn't you put her 5-year-old there?
Because I let her be in the front seat so she could see everything, and I figured since I was watching her...
She can't see a thing. She's 5 years old. She can't see over that. All she's looking at is the dashboard.
My nephew likes to be in the back seat with his cousin. That's why I put him back there. I always put him back there.
Have you picked your nephew up from school before with the children?
Yes.
With or without her permission?
With.
Is that right?
Before, not this time. Yes, this time was without my permission. I told her not to leave.
Okay.
That's not true.
Okay. What time did you get home with the children?
Noon.
Go ahead.
When I got back to the house, my son had gotten a higher temperature. I called Chastity at work to find out about, calling her aunt to be there. She told me that she couldn't call because she was too busy, that when her husband got home, that I could have him call the aunt to see if the aunt could come. When he did come home, probably about 10 minutes after I called her, when he got out of the car, he started cussing, saying that he shouldn't have even came home.
So what did you do? He
told me to go ahead and leave. When I returned home, after being at the doctor's all day, my girlfriend was there because she comes over every day from when her husband works. When she called my girlfriend, she started cussing and saying I was a bad mother, that I was neglectful, and that I shouldn't have been able to babysit her children.
Did she speak to you?
I called her back. She told me that I neglected the children, that she was going to file a police report on me if I filed a small claims on her. She said that I shouldn't be allowed to watch children because I was unstable. Then she told me that she didn't want me to watch her kids again, and I told her fine.
Had you been paid for that week?
No, she did not pay me for that week.
And how many hours did you work that week?
I worked Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
You didn't work Thursday?
Half day.
Not even a half day? $27 a day?
Correct.
$81 for the 3 days.
Correct.
So what are you suing her for $415.98 for?
For the 2-week notice that be verbally agreed to, and she's got some of my belongings.
Now, what belongings do you claim she has?
She has a black sweater that I had left that day.
Do you have a black sweater of hers?
Not a black sweater. I have a stuffed animal dog of hers. I have a box of baby cereal and a little thing of juice. That's all I have
And
at
a
my
can
house.
of formula.
Oh, come on. You're talking about nonsense, Miss McCumber.
When it's $20 a can.
WIC pays for it, though, so.
Just a second. You have those things? You have some
Yes,
formula?
I do.
Fine. Put them in a shopping bag, and we'll make arrangements for those things to come back to her. All right. You want to tell me your version of the events
please.
that happened, and I assume you want to tell me something of your counterclaim.
Yes. Charity did watch my children for 2.5 months. Within that time, we had a couple problems. I asked her to feed my kids nutritionally. I didn't want them fed hot dogs or Pop-Tarts every single day, and that was one of the problems.
No.
And
don't interrupt her. She didn't interrupt you.
The reason I knew this is there was a couple occasions where I would always ask, how did the kids eat today? What did they eat? And she would tell me, oh, they had a cheese sandwich and applesauce. Well,
Miss Newby,
the applesauce jar wasn't even open, so she would lie about what she fed them.
Let me tell you this. Finding proper child care for working parents is a very difficult thing, and sometimes you know, blink and turn the other way if things aren't 100% perfect. But I would assume, Ms. Newby, that if you felt as if she was really neglecting your children, you wouldn't have allowed her to watch your children for 2.5 months.
She had promised and said she would do better, that she wouldn't lie anymore, that she would take better care of the children, she would take my kids outside. And as far as her leaving with my kids in the car, that was another problem. She had gone 2 other times with my permission. She had called me at work, told me it was an emergency. I said, okay. Then I talked to her about it, and I told her I did not want it to happen again.
So you didn't give her permission?
She called me at work. She asked me, which she had already taken them, and I told her no. And when I got home, first my husband told me, you know, she brought the little boy over again today. She took him, and then my daughter told me they had been left in the car with the windows rolled up and the doors locked.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Charity McCumber says former client Chastity Newby owes her for babysitting fees and the return of personal belongings.
Go ahead.
My youngest daughter all week had a bad diaper rash, and every night I would come home and...
All week? You mean the last week?
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Okay.
And I would come home, and by the next morning, I would have it just about gone, and then the next day I would come home, and it was back terribly, bleeding bad. She didn't have permission to take my children. She shouldn't have done it. She asked me. I told her, no, you don't leave children in a car under any circumstances.
Absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Not even for a minute. Not for a minute or two, and it takes more than a minute or two to go in, sign a child out of daycare. Even if it takes 3 or 4 minutes, you don't leave 3 children in a car in 85-degree weather, locked in a car. Not for a minute. But you have a counterclaim. You want to tell me about the counterclaim you have?
My youngest daughter was severely dehydrated. I took her to the doctor Friday, and we tried to bring her back home and get her hydrated at home, which we couldn't do. She was back in the emergency room Saturday being IV'd. She ended up being admitted, and she stayed 3 nights, I believe, for dehydration. And I believe most of it was Charity's care.
It may be, but you understand for a counterclaim such as yours, you need some medical proof of that.
Mm-hmm.
The circumstance of her having been in the plaintiff's care and then being hospitalized doesn't necessarily make a case for a counterclaim. You understand that? Okay. So I'm going to have to dismiss your counterclaim, but I'm going to get to your claim. Ms. McCumber, I find that even if there was an agreement to give you 2 weeks' notice, you breached your contract of care for the defendant's 2 children when you took them without her permission. And even if you had her permission, if you took them on an errand and even for 30 seconds locked them in a car, never, you will never, if they have this information, get a daycare license, because that is such poor judgment to leave a 5-year-old in a car watching 2 infants in a locked car. There is never an emergency that would permit that. And you did it because you didn't want to disturb your baby.
Correct.
Because, well, that's outrageous. That's outrageous. You had an obligation to disturb your baby's sleep, to take all 3 children out of the car, go into the daycare center, pick up your nephew if it was an emergency, come back and hope that your son fell back to sleep. But because you didn't want to inconvenience or disturb your son's sleep, you placed all 3 children at risk. So even if there was an agreement for 2 weeks' notice, I found that you breached your agreement to provide adequate care for the children. However, you have to pay her for the 3 days that she worked for you. Because if you were dissatisfied with her care of the children, and if you felt Monday that your daughter had a diaper rash, and you let her take care of your children on Tuesday, and the diaper rash came back and it was even more aggravated, and then Wednesday you let her do it again, that's poor judgment on your part.
Right.
Right? Sometimes necessity forces you to do that. But that's poor judgment on your part. That doesn't negate the fact that she performed a service for you for 3 days. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and you owe her $81, judgment for the plaintiff.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I've tried to quit before, and you begged me.
She wouldn't let her.
No.
She begged her to
so,
come back.
Yep.
She didn't take care of them. She didn't feed them. She left them in a car on an 85-degree day. That's neglect.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Ball versus Ball. Step forward, please.
36-year-old tanning salon owner Wanda Ball is suing her ex-husband, 40-year-old carpenter Gary Ball, for the cost of storing his belongings while he was in prison.
According to your complaint, your former husband was incarcerated for a period of time. While he was incarcerated, you paid for a storage unit for some of his property, and when he was released from jail, he refuses to pay you for the stuff that you were storing.
Correct.
What were the storage fees?
The total was $790.
And tell me how it came about that you started to pay for the storage unit.
When he was incarcerated, he had asked my son to take care of his storage, which had a bunch of his tools in it. What had happened is my son was with him when the police pulled Gary over, and they arrested Gary and took him to jail. My son is the one who had the key to the storage unit that Gary had gave to him.
Could you come up here for a moment? Tell me your name.
Keith Ball.
Keith, how old are you?
14.
Do you remember having a conversation with your dad about the things that he had in storage?
Yes, ma'am.
What did he tell you?
Just keep the storage for him, and that's all we have.
Did he give you the key?
Yeah.
When did he give you the key, Keith?
Before he went to the car.
Before he went to the police car?
Yeah.
Have a seat, Keith. Very good. All right. What was the next thing that you did?
The next thing that I did is I contacted his family. His family said that they were not going to pay for it. They were just going to let him lose $10,000 worth of his equipment that was in the storage unit.
Go ahead.
When he went to jail, he had made a collect call, and he contacted me and told me what was going on. I knew he was going to be sent away to prison for a year. Gary asked me to pay for the storage unit.
Okay.
Okay.
Now I'm ready for you.
Okay. Well, I'm a self-employed carpenter. Well, right now I'm working in a trailer factory. Me and Juana's been divorced for 12 years, but we actually have lived together 4 or 5 or 6 years in between then. I've been to prison before in '96 for a year, and she took care of my
Wow.
stuff for criminal mischief. She took
Right.
care of my stuff, and she gave my stuff back to me when I got out. And after that, we even got back together for a year or two.
All right, let's talk about this date, sir. You picked up in February of 2000. Your son's in the car with you. Were you picked up for a parole violation?
Probation.
Probation violation.
Right.
And what was the original charge?
A battery.
That's more than criminal mischief.
Well, that's '96 was the criminal mischief.
Did you hand your son the key to the storage unit?
Yes, I did.
What did you say to your son?
To take care of this is our inheritance, this is our investment, that I'm going to be going to prison.
Well, you knew your son didn't have any money, right?
Right.
So you expected the plaintiff to pay for the storage unit.
Actually, we had talked on the phone, and we talked about selling the stuff.
Yes?
And
Is that what you wanted her to
she
do?
could give me much as money as she wanted to, and she could keep the... that's what I asked her to do at first, to sell it.
Just a second. So at first you asked her to sell all your tools.
Right.
Well, that wouldn't give you a way of earning a living.
Right, but it would actually maybe give me a lawyer and make my sentence a little less.
Did you change your mind about selling your stuff?
Actually, I was glad she did, because actually I make more money with this equipment than I do working inside the factory.
So you've been out of prison now for 6 months.
Right.
And you make more money now.
Actually, I'm still in the trailer factory because my parole officer wants me to stay inside the factory, and she wants me to stay inside the factory because of the insurance, and she makes sure she gets a check every week for support.
You mean you work and you pay for child support?
Right.
Sounds right. Where are your tools now?
My tools are...
Now look at me. Where are your tools now?
My tools are in my sister's garage.
Why weren't they in your sister's garage before?
I asked them plenty of times to get with my brother and my sisters to get my tools out of there before they double locked it. Matter of fact, when I got out, it was double locked. She gave me the money to get the double lock off so that I could get my tools out of it.
How much did she give you?
$190, and I did give that $190 back to her.
Your Honor, he is lying. He never gave me $190.
All right, Mr. Ball, one must only assume that you paid for the storage unit because your sister's garage was not available at the time. Otherwise, somebody who's earning a moderate amount of money doesn't pay for a storage unit. So you intended to keep your stuff in the storage unit and use it as necessary. Is that a fair statement?
Right.
And the fact that you went to jail and she was very nice and paid for the storage unit for you while you were in jail because at 8 cents an hour you weren't going to be able to pay for it yourself, why should she be stuck behind the 8 ball for $790?
Well, actually, she really took care of something that's going to help her out. I do maintenance on her salons. I do maintenance on her rental properties.
Charge her.
Well,
he does
that's
not.
What
Shh, just a minute, charge her.
That's what will happen.
Charge her. If she thinks your prices are too steep, she'll get somebody else to do it.
Right.
Very nice. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $790.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
19-year-old student Joel Termont and his roommate, 20-year-old Chris Bilsbach, for damages to her property. Chris is countersuing, claiming Sherry's negligence led to his car catching on fire.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 123 on the calendar in the matter of Gregory versus Bilsbach Termont. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated.
Miss Gregory, according to your complaint, you owned some real estate that was rental property. You rented it to the two defendants and claimed that during the course of their tenancy, they trashed your property. They say they did nothing to your property but normal wear and tear, that they had some parties there that you were aware of, and they are counterclaiming. They say that during a snowstorm, you failed to plow the driveway, which caused their car to catch on fire. When did this lease begin?
The 1st of August in 2000.
How long was the lease?
It was a month-to-month affair because this is a property that I was trying to sell.
So you didn't have a written lease?
Yes, I do have a written lease.
Can I see it, please? Okay, so they rented the property on August 1st. When did you first see any damage to the property?
Well, I was getting complaints from neighbors.
What was the date?
Probably in October. It became obvious that they were having parties there and so forth.
Okay, when was the next time you were alerted that there may be any problem with the property?
Well, as the snow left and I could see that the land was fairly well destroyed all around the place from four-wheeling and so forth, but the final blow, I guess, came when the neighbors were complaining to the point where they were telling me I had to get rid of them. And that's when I went out in the first part of April, you know, discovered the...
I see some pictures there.
Yes.
So let me see the photographs.
Now, I should have sorted through. They're not all wonderful.
Is this a trailer?
It's a mobile home that has been built onto, and it's about 2,000 square foot.
Were these holes in the wall or anything else there when you rented it to them?
No, we were having some leakage with the roof, and they said that they could take care of that if I would buy the materials, which I did, and I have my receipts for that.
What I'm asking you, madam, is I'm going to show you some pictures. What I'd like you to do is take a look at these photographs and tell me whether this is the way the property looked when you rented it to them.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
No.
Would you show this to These two people? What is that?
That's a wall that's falling down.
No, it isn't. It's not a wall that's falling down. You want to explain that to me?
There were holes in the wall that were caused by parties that we had out there.
Okay, period. Good.
That's our refrigerator, Your Honor.
Is that the way it was when you got it?
That was our refrigerator when we moved in.
Oh, good. So I don't have to look at the refrigerator. Perfect. They bought the refrigerator, right? Madam?
That doesn't ring a bell with me.
Well, if it doesn't ring a bell with you, they say that they bought the refrigerator. I trust that they bought the refrigerator.
There were 2 refrigerators there. I'm sorry.
Same party?
Yes.
You got some nerve. What's wrong with you? Huh? What is wrong with you?
Well, in the beginning, when we rented the property, Sherry told us our deposit wasn't for the trailer. She didn't care about the trailer. She said, trash it or fix it. Those were her exact words. She don't care. Trash it or fix it. It's up to you. We fixed it in the first place. The roof got so bad. The house was totally unlivable. There was no hot water, no furnace.
So move. So
That's what we
move.
did.
You aren't being held a prisoner.
Also, before we...
I'm not finished with you. If the trailer is not habitable because there's no heat, no hot water, you have the ability to get out of this lease, right?
Correct.
You don't do this to somebody else's property. Nobody says trash it. Nobody normal. She's not abnormal.
Those were her words. Trash it or fix it.
Bull. Not common sense, unless somebody is on heavy doses of something. And if you live in a place, and assuming that she was having a mental lapse and said that to you, you still don't do this.
Your
So
Honor,
you have to pay for all the damage.
maybe half the reason why she didn't care that we trashed it is she told me once that she had that trailer insured at over $30,000. It'd make a nice insurance claim. And that trailer is appraised at a little over $3,000 for the whole trailer. The roof damage well exceeds the $3,000 to have that roof repaired. So basically, the trailer's worth nothing. And
Why
she
didn't you
hasn't
just live
insured-
there peacefully? I mean, what joy does somebody get in causing this kind of damage? What joy?
Teenage kids.
When we moved in,
If
Your
you're,
Honor,
just a second, did you move from your family's house into this property?
yes, Your Honor.
Did you do this to your parents' house?
No, Your Honor.
Then you know better. It's not as if you weren't housebroken. You were, in fact, housebroken.
When we moved in, Your Honor, the previous tenant had been convicted of trafficking meth, and the FBI had just done a raid on that exact trailer when we moved in. The place was completely unlivable. We spent over 40 hours fixing it up.
And what did you have to do?
We had to pick up heroin needles.
Motorcycles in our living room, our kitchen.
What did you do
About
with
10
them?
of them.
What did you do with them?
We had the salvage yard come pick them up.
Did you sell them to the salvage yard?
No.
You just gave them away?
Yes.
They were not worth anything. They were torn into parts.
Sherry told us
to get rid of them.
Yeah, she told us that it was our responsibility to clean up the trailer. In the lease it says...
It says that you clean up the trailer. She's selling it as is. So far, I don't hear about anything like this.
Well,
I
when
heard you
we
got
moved
rid of a
in,
lot of junk inside.
The roof was always leaking when we moved in, and we never said it was no problem that we could fix it because the roof was in bad condition when we moved in. She had already had a professional contractor come out there and do the exact same thing that she bought us materials for. And the roof still was leaking, and there was no way we could get it repaired
Why would you fix the roof and do this to the walls?
because the roof was completely collapsing. When we first moved in, we tried as hard as we could to put up the roofing materials, but it didn't stop it. And that whole, there's 3 sections of the trailer. That third
if
section...
you notice that I didn't show you any pictures of the collapsing where there looks like there were leaks coming in. She's got them here. I didn't show you those. Because if you were renting a place and had a leaky roof, I don't hold you responsible for that at all. This I hold you responsible for. This doesn't come from a leaky roof.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Sherry Gregory says former tenants Joel Termott and Chris Bilsbach trashed her property. Joel and Chris say Sherry is a con artist.
According to you, you were just following instructions, right?
not necessarily following instructions, but knowing you put 3 kids under the age of 19 in a house on a farm, you know what they're going to do, and you tell them they can trash it or fix it.
When we moved out
as a landlord, would any landlord do that and not expect this to happen?
When we moved out there, we told her.
Oh, may I please see the estimates of your damage?
Your Honor, I have one statement here from the insurance company, which has paid a portion of that, okay?
I want to see the estimates of the damage that were not paid by your insurance.
That's this document.
Let me see what she's got for me. No, listen. First of all, strike out roof leaks, water damage. That was a problem that existed before they moved in, and it's your responsibility to take care of it. Carpet throughout. I can't tell what damage they caused and what damage your previous tenant caused, because it seems to me that you did not examine that property before they moved in.
I did.
No, because I believe them when they said that they found needles in there, motorcycle parts in the trailer, and all that other kind of stuff that you told them to get rid of. Because in your lease it says that they take the property exactly as it's turned over to them. And I believe them because they were at least honest enough to say to me, I caused this, it was parties. And that's what happens when you rent to teenagers. I mean, that's pretty honest and damning. So I believe that there was a lot of junk in that place when they moved in. So how do I know when the damage was done to the carpet?
The carpet thing, the main carpet damage that I was talking about there was just where the roof had leaked and made
strike that. That's your responsibility.
I'm not talking about carpet throughout.
Outside debris cleanup. Do you have a bill for that?
I've got a man out there working now. It's just way too short a time to get a total estimate on it. And with the grass growing tall...
I can't help you unless I have a bill. This is you.
Right.
I need bills.
Your Honor, could I add one thing?
Yes.
She claims that she gave us our eviction notice on the 1st of April. We received our eviction notice on the 20th of April, which she had dated the 1st. Okay. So we'd only have 10 days, 11 days to get out, which was a totally false statement on the eviction notice. We were out within the week, within 7 days. We came out there within the last day, before the end of the month, and there was someone already living out there, cleaning up, doing work out there, re-drywalling, stuff like that. This is all stuff that I'm sure she's not paying him. I'm sure he's living there, he's fixing it up. She's telling him the same exact thing that she told us when we moved in there.
Just a minute.
Fix it.
Doesn't make what you did to the property right.
No.
Okay.
But she's got someone living there while we were still paying rent, where we were still supposed to be living there. She's got someone there just because she knew we were out.
Who's living there now?
The person he's talking about did not have permission to be there at that time. I didn't know that person was there. He was someone that was wanting to rent it because when I called and...
Is he still there?
2 different people.
Who's living there?
Mark.
When did Mark move in?
The 10th or 11th of May.
That's not correct, Your Honor. We went back before the 1st of May, and I went in my room to get some stuff that I'd still had there, and there was like 3 snakes and a bunch of hamsters living in my bedroom, and that was before the 1st of May.
All right. Interior debris cleanup. Yeah, you're going to pay for that, boys. But I'm allocating $200 to clean it up. Now.
We had till the 1st. We went out there the 28th to clean up that weekend.
Why didn't you clean up before you moved out?
We moved all our personal stuff out.
Why didn't you clean up before you moved out?
This is 7 days after we got the eviction notice. We were out. We went back to clean up on the 7th day. Someone else was already living there.
Okay. Approximately 3 acres. Seeding? You have a bill for that?
My farmer tenant out there will do that work. He has never presented me with his...
Then I can't help you, Miss Gregory. I need bills. How do I know whether it costs $3,000 to reseed 3 acres? How do I know that? All I know is that you can go and you can rent a spreader for $20, and for another $50, you can buy a whole bunch of seed. Is that right?
I'm not a farmer.
Well, I know. I mean, I know a little bit about that, and if you want to, then you spread it. And you spread it, and grass grows. You have $3,000.
Your Honor.
Ms. Gregory, it's ridiculous. I mean, do you want me to dismiss this case without prejudice, go and get bills, go and get estimates? I'm not going to do anything.
May I say?
Sure.
This is land that is not just needs seeding, it needs completely smoothed out because of all the ruts and everything from the four-wheeling and driving on areas that never should have been driven on.
Well, Ms. Gregory, you have your choice, madam. Do you want me to dismiss your case without prejudice? You can refile it at some later point when you get the estimates for these things. Or do you want me to continue? If I continue, I have no idea what I'm going to come up with. So far, I got $200 because that's what it looks like it would cost anybody to spend 4 hours in cleaning up the mess that they left inside. That's it. What do you want to do? You need proof when you come to court. This is not proof. A prepared statement is not proof of damage.
Well, I asked for this from both the tenant farmer that will do the work on the land and from the guy that is doing the repairs on the house. And he didn't submit that to me. He said, Sherry, the minimum it's going to take on that roof and the water damage part is $2,500.
We didn't cause the roof and water damage, Your Honor.
I struck out the water damage because that was a problem before they moved in.
It was supposed to have been repaired by them. I bought them materials to take care of it.
That's your problem. Tenants don't do that. And if you rented the property to 2 teenagers and you tell them that the roof leaks, I'm going to buy a material and fix it, and if you have a real interest in your property, then what you do is you go back 3 weeks later and check your property and see if it's been done properly. What do you mean,
No, I mean, it's something
How much did you get from the insurance company?
Here,
Just tell me how much you got from the insurance company.
$12,329.31.
For, quiet. For all the damage.
For the things that they had listed.
Your Honor, I have a copy from the county assessor appraising the trailer that she got insurance money for.
She got $12,000 from the insurance company. She can take care of the property from that. I just finished plaintiff's case. Let's get to your nonsense. She didn't plow the driveway? Huh?
She told, we live in the middle of the country. The driveway has a very big incline.
Yeah.
Because of that, it's hard to get up when there's a big snow, and the fact that it drifts twice as high as much snowfall as you have.
So?
She told us, we were telling her we had problems getting up the driveway. She's like, well, I'll have the farmer or a neighbor come plow the driveway. Never seen it. Never came around.
No. She said have the farmer or the neighbor plow the driveway.
Yeah, someone that she knew that had a plow would come out and
No,
clean our
that's
driveway.
not what you just said. You just said to me, she said to you, have the farmer or the neighbor plow the driveway.
Yes, her as the landlord was going to take care of it. It was her
No,
responsibility.
did she say that?
Yes.
No. I don't believe she said that. She said have one of your neighbors take care of that.
No, she didn't tell us to have it done.
Really?
She said she was going to have it done.
When did she tell you that?
We don't know the farmer. We don't know the neighbors. The neighbors
they don't want to know you. I got news
The neighbors
for you.
she's talking about, she has sold part of this 80 acres too.
Okay. And when was the first time that you had a problem with snow?
Give
me the date. First date you had a problem with snow.
Well, in Nebraska, it snows from November till...
So the first problem you had was in November?
Correct.
Probably more like October.
So the first problem that you had was in October and you couldn't get your car out?
The thing is it wasn't the fact that I got it stuck, it was the fact I left it at the house and rode to work with him, or rode to school with him, because he had a four-wheel drive. I knew I wouldn't make it out.
Tell me whose car exploded.
That was mine, Your Honor.
Well, how did that happen?
Fire department says it caught on fire.
Don't tell me what the fire department says.
It caught on
That's
fire because
hearsay.
it got stuck
Where did it get stuck?
in the driveway.
Yes, and you tried to start it? I mean, it didn't...
It was running when I got stuck.
Spontaneous combustion. It didn't just explode because it wasn't
No,
like
it caught on
sitting...
fire. The tires caught the engine on fire.
Yes, because you kept trying to move it. I assume you were trying to move it.
Well, as soon as it got stuck, yes, I tried getting out. I didn't try and get out for, 10 minutes. I tried to get out, 30 seconds. I knew I was stuck. I mean, it was buried. The car was completely not going anywhere. I turned it off, walked up to the house in -30-degree weather, went up to the house, and I couldn't see the car from the driveway. The car burned up. The fire department called me, said, your car's on fire.
Oh, okay. So what do you want from me? What do you want from her?
Well, it's a countersuit. She said, and as a landlord, she was going to take care of having the driveway plowed.
And if she didn't take care of
She
it
told me
starting...
she was
Listen,
gonna-
hey, listen to me carefully. When did your car catch on fire? What month?
December.
December. If she told you initially, and you say it starts to snow in October in Nebraska, that she was going to plow, and she didn't plow, you know what you do? Move! October, move November, move December. You're not a prisoner there. You don't like the leaks, you move. You don't like the heat, you move. You don't trash it. You don't blame her for anything. You get out. So, you got $12,000 from the insurance company? Good. You have no case because you have no proof of any additional damage. You have no case. Period. Driveway wasn't plowed. You don't want to get out a shovel and plow your car. You drive with him. He couldn't move his car. Move. Don't rent to teenagers anymore. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Order. All rise. Now, this is case number 516 on the calendar in the matter of Thomas versus Jackson. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat, please.
Ms. Thomas, it is your claim that the defendant's son broke your son's nose.
Correct.
You want to tell me what happened?
Well, I was walking down the street because my friends said they were going to play football that day. None of them were out there. And then Tyra and Jatiste, the two girls that were like friends that lived down the street, and they were yelling out the window. And I didn't understand what they're saying. I was like, well, I'm gonna go home. Then Joe started coming to me, and he was like, what's up, what's up? And then he hit me in my nose. And then I said, I don't want to fight you, and then he hit me in my nose, and it started to bleed.
So were you alone at the time he came up to you?
Yes.
Okay, now let's come to you, Ms. Thomas. How did you find out about your son's nose?
Well, the young lady, Tyra, is one of the girls that was with him, came running up to my...
I thought you said you were alone.
But they were coming out the door at the time. So as he walked up to me, they were coming out the door.
So one of the girls came to your house?
Yes, and she came running up to the door saying, hurry, hurry, Austin's bleeding, he needs you down the street. So I went running down there, and I saw him with his head back like this. There was blood everywhere, all over his clothes, on the ground. And I ripped off my tank top and put it to his face, and I asked him, do you know who did this to you? And they said, it's Joe, and he's right around the corner playing basketball. I said, take me to him. Take me to him right now. And I said, so you're the one who broke my son's nose. And he said, I ain't got time for your drama, B. And started going off on me. Like I was bothering his game of basketball when he just broke my son's nose. I said, so what, you just are going to break my son's nose and act like it's nothing? He's like, you know, and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to stand out here and argue with a bunch of kids. So I went home, I picked up the phone, I called 911. The cops came out, took him home to his cousin. I had him delivered in a cop car.
Now I'll hear from you.
At first I was walking home from school, and then my best friend asked me did I want to play basketball. So we was over his house playing basketball. His sister Tyra told him that some little boy around the corner was messing with her. So we went around the corner, and as was about to fight him, I stepped in the middle and I told him not to hit him. Then he was talking stuff, and he called
Who's he was talking stuff?
Austin.
Did you know him from before?
No, never seen this.
So what kind of stuff was he talking?
He was like, I'm not scared of him, I'm not scared of him. And then he called me a B, and then I just took off my jacket and I hit him twice.
You think that's okay?
Yeah, if I felt like if I wouldn't have hit him, then he would have hit me.
But he didn't hit you.
I felt like he was about to.
What made you think he was about to hit you?
Because the way he looked at me.
The way he looked at you?
The way he looked at me.
Now, after you hit him twice in the nose, you went back to play basketball.
Yes.
And then his mother came up to you. She just told me that you cursed at her.
No.
Oh, yes, you did.
Well, she was cussing at me. She actually threatened me.
Well, how did she threaten you?
She said she would get a 15 or 16-year-old on me, and she said she'll kill me. That's when she stepped down the street like she was going to hit me, but my best friend, he stepped in front of me and told her to go on because she's not hitting me.
You have a police report?
Yes, I do.
Were you arrested?
Well, taken home, yeah.
After you were taken home, did you have to appear in juvenile court?
No.
Why didn't you press charges against him?
I did press charges, Your Honor, but they were telling me even if I filed him and received a misdemeanor on him for the assault charges, the only pain and suffering or anything that I could get was $300.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about teaching him a lesson. How many times have you been in a police car?
Just twice.
When before that were you in a police car?
Some little kids was busting windows, and they mistakenly put me in the police car on accident, and it wasn't me.
It wasn't you?
No.
Let me see your bills.
Your Honor, can I say something?
Yes.
You know, and also when Austin had, after he had broke his nose, he told my son, he said to everybody in the neighborhood, he kept saying, well, that's what the white boy gets. That's what the white boy gets, you know. And my son, granted, he is light-skinned, but I don't care what shade you are, you know what I mean? This isn't about what color you are. It's about violating my child.
Absolutely right.
So that was another thing, because they think he's a white boy, and he's not just a white boy.
No, he's a boy.
Right, exactly.
He's a boy. What?
I don't feel like it's a racial thing here because my son is not racist, not at all.
He may not be, but he certainly has a little bit of a violent tendency.
I mean, that's all kids is like that. When
No,
you're out,
all kids aren't like
this
that.
side, he was.
All kids aren't
He
like
was
that.
cursing too.
Cursing
So-
is one thing. Listen to me. Your son went up to him, came around the corner, came up to him, and hit him in the face because he didn't like the way he looked at him, according to him.
No.
He looked as if he might be going to hit him, so he hit him first, twice. But he went looking for him. He came around the corner, and before he even found out what was going on, I mean, I read his answer. His answer was he was protecting some little girl that he thought he was teasing. He was in a confrontation with another friend. That's a lot of baloney. He came around the corner, and he hit him twice. And he's responsible. He's responsible for his broken nose. He's responsible for all the medical bills, and he's responsible for pain and suffering. He's responsible for that.
I understand that.
What? You want to say something, sir?
Yes. Your Honor, when I received the phone call from my wife that the incident had taken place, I rushed home. During the time that my wife was filing a report, she had noticed that two of the young men that were at the scene were walking by snickering. And so I asked him to come here, and I asked him, I said, you know what, I want to know which one of you two were the one calling my wife out of her name. And they began to tell me that Joe is one of the kids in the neighborhood that he thinks he has to go for bad or whatnot. He has to prove something to himself. And that the girls that he accuses my son of making fun of, we have written testimonies from the young ladies. They warned Austin to run because they knew that Joe was going to go up to him and fight him for no reason at all. I asked the police officer to make sure his mother calls us. She wanted to know what happened, and she explained to me that, you know, it doesn't surprise her that her son, you know, might have did this, but she wanted to hear both. She wanted to hear both sides of the story. She is well aware that Joe is one way with her and another way out in the neighborhood, and she can't understand why he acts that way because her other children, her other young boys, don't act that way.
His neighbor, 12-year-old Joel Jackson, punched him in the face and broke his nose. Joel says he thought Austin was going to hit him first.
Go ahead.
Your Honor, I spoke to her one time as Austin's mother. She informed me that she wants to hurry up and get the court situation over with. And I just hung up on her. I flat out hung up on her. You know, how are you going to call me and tell me that we need to hurry up and get this over with? Well, so would I, but I have to go to an ENT for my son's nose. His nose has to be broke now 2 times because he has a lump coming out of the side of his nose. You know, hello, this doesn't end for me just because I go to court.
So you have to do additional medical procedures other than the $2,059 that you've already spent.
Yes, it's $85 just for us to show our face into the ENT clinic.
Could you step up, please? I want to take a look at your nose. Where is it broken?
It's broke right down here, right in here.
You have any medical report in your file?
Yes, I do.
Can I see you step back to your folks, please? Do you have any other report with regard to the procedure for re-breaking his nose and resetting it?
I asked them what it will cost for Austin's nose. They said every nose varies. Some noses run $1,000, some runs $500. They just don't know until they see it.
Well, right now you have about $2,100 in out-of-pocket expenses just for his medical visits.
Yes, and I have no insurance because my husband got a better paying job, and his insurance doesn't even kick in for 90 days. So this is, every time I've went, it's self-pay, self-pay. I mean, we work for a living.
Yes, we do.
Well, I'm glad that you're working.
I agree with that.
I'm glad that you're working. She's not going to have any of these expenses out of pocket. You had no right to hit him. Don't look up at the sky. You're just very, very lucky that they didn't pursue this matter in juvenile court because they probably wouldn't have put you away, but you would have had a record. How old are you?
12.
12. So you would have had a record at age 12. That's not very smart. How many brothers do you have?
2.
They ever been in jail?
No.
They nice boys?
Yes.
Good. So you have good examples at home. What happened to you?
Nothing.
Ever been suspended for fighting in school?
Yes.
Yeah, sure. How did I know that? How do you think I knew that?
I don't know.
Wasn't that a good question? Look, I'm only giving you your medical bills up until today, plus some additional costs that you incurred. But you may have to bring an additional suit once you have additional medical costs, because I can't anticipate what those medical bills are going to be. Do you understand?
Yes.
So I'm issuing a judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. It covers your bills until today.
Thank you, Your Honor.
That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I don't appreciate her cussing out my son the way she did.
When you see your child bleeding on a street and he's left there and you're just going to protect your child, I would say that sometimes you say things that just is not of you, but out of, frustration and anger.
And now the next case.
All parties on Zavala versus Johnson. Step forward, please.
20-year-old salesperson Brooklyn Zavala is suing her sister-in-law, 23-year-old restaurant manager Tiana Johnson, for babysitting fees and damage to her vehicle.
Mrs. Zavala, the defendant is your sister-in-law.
Yes.
According to your complaint, you provided daycare services for your sister-in-law's children.
Yes.
Then she decided to move. You did provide childcare for a few days, for which you were not paid.
Correct.
And then on the day that your sister-in-law was moving, it is your claim that she damaged a car of yours.
True.
What was your arrangement with regard to the childcare?
I was to get paid $2.37 per hour.
How did you come
per
to that
child.
figure?
Because that's what the state was allowing her to get. I was just to get the whole check from the Health and Welfare Office. I got a check for May, June, and July. And then in August, I watched them for 5 days.
Which 5 days in August?
2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th.
Ms. Johnson, did you get a check from the state for those dates in August?
No, I did not.
Why?
Because they were taking me off that program at that time because I was moving.
She was supposed to get a check. I have record right here that it got sent back to Health and Welfare.
Let me see.
From her caseworker.
My caseworker told me that I was not getting a check for that month.
So it was returned?
Right.
So she did not, you're not claiming that she got the money and just didn't give it to you?
Right, I just didn't get paid.
Well, she's not going to pay you. You have to get your money from the state. That was your agreement.
They only pay a portion on that, so she would also have to pay on top of that.
Why? That wasn't your agreement.
Because
that wasn't your agreement, Ms. Zavala.
True.
Your agreement was that whatever money she received from the state, you would get.
Right.
And you never got any additional monies in the months that you did watch the children.
True.
Right? So why would you expect additional monies in August?
I estimated it from $2.37 for each child per hour.
Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
I do.
I don't know what we're fighting about here for 5 days worth of daycare. If two people who are related to each other, except maybe the fight's about this damaged truck. So you want to tell me about the damaged truck?
Well, the morning of the 8th of August, we got a phone call saying we needed to come to Tiana's. Tiana had something to tell us. We were told she was leaving town because she was scared to death if her husband was going to kill her, which is her witness right now.
Go ahead.
Her brother and her also got in an argument, and because he was telling her that she shouldn't pick up and leave like that with 3 children.
Who should she leave the children with?
We were going to offer, or Sean and Christine, and then Delano and Amanda, which was also her brother and sister-in-law.
Okay. What happened when she left?
Well, we helped her pack, and a couple hours later, she just was leaving, wasn't watching where she was going, and backed into my car. She said sorry, didn't even get out of her van, and then left.
She was upset, I assume, right?
No, she was fine by then because we were just packing up and leaving. She was in a hurry to leave.
Why do you think she was in a hurry?
Because she had to meet with a couple people in Oregon that she was going with.
She said she had to leave because she was deathly afraid of her husband. You don't think that picking up and leaving and packing up very quickly and leaving with your 3 children, you're upset? I mean, I'm not giving...
That happened a month or 2 prior to her leaving. She was still going up and taking the kids up to his house.
Because he's their father.
Until 2 o'clock in the morning, and she's deathly afraid of him. These are the car estimates and pictures.
I also have a blue book value of the car as a trade-in and as retail value.
Well, you definitely hit her car.
She was parked at an angle right in my blind spot on a cul-de-sac, which you're supposed to be parked with the curve. She was parked straight out this way. And when I was backing out, I could not see her, and I hit her like this.
Okay. $900 worth of damage.
And the blue book value of the car as a trade-in is $375. and the retail value is $1,400. I think that's a large amount for damage. It's almost as much as the car is worth.
So what do you think the right thing to do is?
Actually, 4 days before she filed this suit, I had told my brother that I was going to give them some money. And she has not tried to contact me, tried to resolve anything, to even try to work out a payment or anything.
Well, what is everybody so mad about?
I think she's mad because I left and she was out of a job.
No, because I went and got a job 2 weeks later.
All I heard that day that I was leaving was, what about the check? What about the check? No, you know, I'm going to miss you or anything. It was all about the check.
No.
The money.
Wrong, because I was trying to talk her out of going. I was scared for the kids' welfare because the van wasn't going to make it to West Virginia.
Did it make it?
No.
No.
She left it on the side of a highway with all of their belongings in it, pretty much.
No, I didn't. I got the belongings there. My children were safe. My children were back safe.
Did the van die?
The transmission went out.
How did you get to your final destination?
With the rest of the party that I was traveling with. We had 3 different cars going.
Where were you going? Just for my...
To West Virginia.
To what?
I had some friends up there.
Who are the other people?
To stay there. Some cousins, longtime friends of the family.
Well, were they going to live too?
Mm-hmm.
You just decided to all leave at the same time to go to West Virginia to live?
Right. There was a lot of circumstances following that.
Well, just give it to me in 30 seconds or less, would you?
Okay. They were deciding to leave, so I went over there. They offered me to go with them, so I decided, yeah, I would
Where
go.
were you all going? I mean, were you going to a farmhouse someplace? Where were you going to live?
No, I have a really good friend that lives up there, and she offered for me to stay with her.
How long did you stay there?
I stayed there a matter of 2 months.
And then where did you come?
I had to come back to the state of Idaho.
Why?
For a custody hearing.
And then you reconciled with your husband?
Somewhat, yes.
What does somewhat mean?
We're working on the situation.
Do you live under the same roof?
No.
What?
Can I stand up?
Of course, if you want to speak.
Yeah, what I was told by his mother was that...
It's hearsay.
Well, even he admitted it. She came back down for that custody hearing plus a battery hearing.
Against him?
Against him, and then they were still together during that whole issue. They came back and they're still together now, from what I heard.
I guess.
And the whole thing with the car is, when she was up in West Virginia, I talked to her, said, you need to start making some payments. And that was like almost a year went by and nothing happened.
You owe them $900 to fix their car. With regard to the money for your 5 days of babysitting, I suggest that you take that up with the state.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $900. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Order. All rise. Your Honor, this is case number 435 on the calendar in the matter of Beauchamp versus Rubino. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Mr. Beauchamp, according to your complaint, you and the defendant were friends. And beginning sometime in 1999, you started to make a series of small loans to the defendant. In total, you say $500. Friendship terminated, and you want your money.
Yes, ma'am.
The defendant says that no time did she borrow $500 from you. She said that she only borrowed $200, but because of the stress that you put her through, she doesn't owe you anything and is counterclaiming for that stress in the amount of $500. What kind of loans, Mr. Beauchamp?
I loaned Miss Rubino a total of $500 from October through December of 1999. The first time she asked me to borrow $100 for her dog. I guess he needed some care or something, so I did loan her the $100. On the second occasion, she had a bed on layaway at a furniture store, and she was about $100 short for that. I did offer to loan her the money for that. And she had wrote a series of bad checks at a bar in Omaha, and she needed to borrow some money to cover those checks, and I did loan that to her.
How much?
The total came to about $500.
No. Not what I asked you. You say the total. This is a court, sir.
Yes.
$100 for the dog, $100 for the bed. How much was the third loan, sir?
That would have been the amount of about $120.
What else?
And then the next loan, the final loan, would have been to, again, cover checks in her checking account. And
That's
that total,
not true.
Just a minute.
And that came to a total of about $500.
Mr. Beauchamp, so far you haven't established to my satisfaction that you loaned her any money. Because when somebody comes to court, they have dates. They say, on such and such a date, I made a loan in the amount of $100. 2 days later, a week later, I made a loan of another $100. Then you don't tell me it was about $120. And after that, well, all of them totaled $500. You have no clue. You should keep a record of when you lend somebody money.
I do have a letter in my possession that she had sent to me
Then let me see
in
it,
November.
sir.
Okay.
Maybe that will help me.
It's a letter written by Miss Rubino.
Ah, so you acknowledge you owed him $500.
That was before. I said that to basically get him off my back.
No.
That's
Listen to
true.
me. Listen
yes,
to me.
I did it one time. I no longer feel that way. Well, no.
This
and
was
there's
only
reasons.
a few months ago, madam. A few months ago, you wrote what I consider a straightforward letter indicating that you had been friends with the plaintiff,
yes.
that clearly in your mind he wanted more than just a friendship. You were not interested in anything more than a friendship.
True.
And that you felt as if because of the way he feels, do I look as if I need help? Because of the way he feels, you shouldn't even continue with a friendship. Pretty straightforward letter and put very well. I have your name, address, etc., and will begin paying you the monies owed, $500, as soon as I am financially able. Thank you for your helping me as I was desperate. Okay, you should keep better notes, Mr. Beauchamp. It would make my life much easier. You're just lucky that you have this letter. Otherwise, you'd be out of luck.
Yes, ma'am.
Good. I'm listening.
I do feel that I owe him $100 for my dog's situation. I do have a pet.
No, listen to me.
I borrowed that.
Shh, listen to me. November 11th of the year 2000, you wrote him this letter acknowledging a debt in the amount of $500. Tell me what happened after November 11th of the year 2000 that you believe vitiates, does away with the debt.
I think that letter is dated November 17th. The reason I'm pointing that out is my birthday was on November 12th.
November 11th.
Okay.
17th is a 1-7. This is a 1-1.
Okay, well, I know I wrote that right after my birthday in which he proposed to me. When I said no, all of a sudden he was suing me for $500. Now I want to say, for one thing, had I just gone with him and made him happy or whatever by marrying him, it was just understood I would owe him no money. You know, we'd be the best of friends and there would be no problems. I won't go all into it, but he kind of thinks everything revolves around money, every emotion, everything. And I cannot be
Right now, that's what it's all about, madam. I'm not here thinking about your emotions.
I know.
I'm not a psychologist, psychiatrist, therapist, counselor, or anything else.
Okay.
I'm here talking about money.
Okay.
On the 11th of November of the year 2000, you acknowledged a debt to him in the amount of $500. I want you to explain to me, after November 11th, did you pay him? Did you pay him back?
No.
Did you have a conversation with him where he said, I am forgiving the loan?
Okay, the $100 loan?
The $500 loan?
No.
So now you tell me why you don't owe him the money.
I do not any longer feel like I owe him any money because he has stalked me, showed up at family functions, and sang love songs to me when I never even invited him. He has embarrassed me, told lies, very personal lies to my sister, to my family, that have been humiliating. We always were just friends, but because he wanted it to be more, he kind of painted this picture to everyone around us.
When did you realize he wanted it to be more?
Oh, about 3 or 4 months into the relationship. I wasn't sure, but after I kept reiterating that we were just friends, about 3 or 4 months, I kind of thought, well, there might not be any talking him into just being friends.
After that, did you take any money from him?
After that,
Yeah.
no, I didn't take any money from him, but we would go out to shopping
Just a
malls.
second.
We would go out. Okay.
Just a second. When did you first meet her?
I first met her in April of 1999.
And these loans didn't begin until October of 1999.
Yes, ma'am, that is correct.
So if you say that you knew within the first 3 months,
I
you
wasn't
started
positive.
taking money
All right.
well after you knew that he cared for you in a different way than you cared for him.
I wasn't positive, Your Honor. I just had a gut feeling that there was no talking him out of just being friends, and he wanted more out of the friendship. I wasn't
Then
positive.
you should have written
but
this letter a long time ago and not compounded your foolishness by taking money from him. Bird, look at the second hand on your watch. The defendant has 30 seconds to tell me about her counterclaim.
I do honestly believe that because on the basis of 2 factors that I do not owe Mr. Beauchamp.
I'm talking about your counterclaim, madam, and you're wasting time.
Okay. the reason is because I encouraged my dad to hire him for at least $1,200 of projects. My dad would ask me-
Counterclaim.
Well, this is the $500 that's relating to...
He's going to get the $500, madam. Now I'm talking about your counterclaim.
Okay.
You have a counterclaim for harassment.
Okay.
Mental anguish.
Your Honor, may I speak?
No,
wait,
I didn't
this
ask you
is-
questions. Sit down.
Judge, 30 seconds is up.
Maybe she
well-
didn't understand.
Okay.
So we'll
I
give her
didn't
another
understand,
30
I'm sorry.
seconds. Counterclaim.
Okay.
Stress.
The emotional distress was basically him harassing me, stalking me, lying about us having a personal relationship, an intimate relationship when we never did, and
You don't get paid
the
for
mental
that.
distress.
You don't
I
get
went
paid
to a
for that.
psychiatrist over it.
Maybe if you had terminated your friendship with him when you first had a clue, madam, that he was becoming more emotionally involved with you than you were with him, then you wouldn't be seeing a psychiatrist right now. So I'm dismissing your counterclaim. On your claim, sir, I find that she has acknowledged the debt. She has not paid the debt. You have not forgiven the debt. You are entitled to your money. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
And now the next case.
All parties on Harrelson versus Stracker. Step forward, please.
59-year-old corporate president Seth Harrelson is suing 53-year-old Shirley Stracker and her husband William. Seth says the Strackers' 17-year-old son Jonathan wrecked his daughter's car.
All right, Mr. Harrelson, this is your daughter, I assume?
Yes, Your Honor.
She's 16,
Yes, she is.
and you purchased a car for her.
We actually leased the car for her. We put the down payment for her, and she makes the payments.
And according to your complaint, there came a time when your daughter was out with her new car. You can stand up here with your father. And the defendant's son was there, and he asked if he could drive the car, right?
Correct.
And you said okay.
After asking him if he had a license.
You asked him if he had a license. He said yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you let him drive the car.
Yes, Your Honor.
He had an accident, and you want the defendants to pay for all of the unreimbursed expenses that your insurance didn't cover. Mr. and Mrs. Stracker say they didn't have the confidence in their son to let him take driver's ed, to let him have a driver's license. They told him they did not want him to drive yet, and that they should not be held responsible because your daughter let him drive the car. It's a very interesting scenario. Why don't you stand up, sir? Did you and your dad ever have a conversation about letting any of your friends drive your car?
I believe so.
Of course you did. I mean, that sounds normal. Right?
That car was for her use only.
Right. So why did you let him drive the car?
Because at the time I was tired and my boyfriend was going to drive the car, but he asked and offered if he could drive, and so I agreed.
Well, did you have your father's permission to let your boyfriend drive the car?
No.
I assume that your boyfriend has driven the car before,
Yes.
without your parents' permission.
Yes.
You didn't know that anybody else was driving this car, I assume.
Wasn't aware of it.
I'm sure. I've had kids of my own who were 16, who I had this discussion with 5 times over.
But we know nothing until after it happens, and then we get smarter.
Right. Tell me about the accident.
We were coming down the street, and upon making a right turn, he stopped in the middle of the lane because he almost missed the street he was supposed to turn right on. And he went to make the right turn, but he made it too late. He pulled into the opposing traffic lane. An oncoming car was coming. He jerked the wheel to the right. He hit off of a curb. The impact from the curb sent us all the way across the other side of the street onto another curb, a lawn, and into a bush, which stopped us from hitting the fence.
What happened when your father found out that he was driving the car?
He was angry. I was grounded for a while.
Now, when did your son turn 16?
July 16th.
Did he ask you to take driver's ed and all that other stuff that kids ask you to take?
Well, I don't recall if he asked me, but I had planned on letting him take it later on, you know, but not now.
Why?
Well, I have 4 sons, and my 3 older ones, I did not allow them to get a car or get their license until they were able to pay for their own car, their own insurance. So, and this was just the rules, so that was the way I was going to have it with them also.
Did you tell him that?
Well, he knew that. Yeah, I've told him that.
What's your first name?
Jonathan.
So you never took driver's ed?
No.
So tell me why you asked Lacey if you could drive the car.
Well, I was just joking around. I didn't really think that she'd let me drive the car. And then she did let me drive the car, which was surprising because She actually did know I did not have a license.
How did she know that?
We've known each other for a while. Everyone in our group of friends makes fun of me because they know I'm not getting my license till I'm probably around 18 or 19, so.
That still doesn't answer my question, Jonathan. Why did you ask her if you could drive the car?
Well, I wasn't really thinking that she'd let me. I was just joking around. It was supposed to be a joke, like.
Okay, so now it was a joke, and then she said okay.
Yeah. And then I stupidly got in the driver's seat, so.
You knew that was wrong.
Yes.
Now, your mother has told me that there were clear rules in your family about not having a driver's license. Were there ever any discussions, arguments in your house, little tiffs about the driver's license?
No, we never.
You're a good kid. I don't know if I could get away with that. Let me tell you why this case presents a problem to me, Mr. Harrelson. Ordinarily, I would say, well, he clearly is responsible for at least part of the damage to your car because he did, in fact, get behind the wheel, drove it, and he caused damage to your car, and why should you have to shoulder that yourself? The issue that's presented is, should his parents, who have done everything that they can to ensure that he not drive a car, they've made it clear to him that until he is responsible enough, he does not have their permission to do it, and they've acted on what they said. You felt you could trust your daughter, right?
Correct. I think that my only rebuttal to that would be the fact, okay, my daughter is 16. She wanted to drive a car. I took the time to take her out to parking lots, to school grounds, to big areas where there was no traffic to teach her how to responsibly drive a car. Okay, I took those steps. Nobody had a sign around this boy's neck that says, I do not have a license. He knows he doesn't have a license. Nobody put him behind the wheel of that car except himself.
No, you're
Now,
wrong, sir. No, Mr. Harrelson, that's where you're mistaken. But for your daughter's permission, he would not have been behind the wheel of the car. And while you may have given her driving lessons and taught her how to drive responsibly, she still lacked the judgment and the maturity to be able to say to Jonathan, sorry, Jonathan, you can't drive my car whether you have a license or not because I've made a promise to my parents. So that my problem is, if I could hold Jonathan here partially responsible, I would do that. He's a minor, so I can't do that. I have to find that his parents knew or should have known or in some way enabled him to do what he did. And I find that quite to the contrary, they did everything to avoid his being behind the wheel of a car. That's why his parents aren't responsible. Now, if they knew that he had done this sort of thing before, I would say, yes, they are at least partially responsible. But I, quite frankly, Mr. Harrelson, cannot find them partially responsible. He is. I mean, she may have given you permission, given you the car keys, and turned the car over to you, but nobody grabbed you by the throat and put you into the car. So, Mr. Harrelson, I will certainly tell young Jonathan here that he's a very young man, and if he wants to start his life out right, taking care of his own obligations, and if you want to be mature enough, and if you want to drive a car before you're 50 years old, because I guarantee you, I'm looking at your mother in your mother's house, you ain't going to drive a car so soon. Now, in the law, because Jonathan is a minor, I cannot enter a judgment against him. I could enter a judgment against his parents for contributory negligence, because he was contributorily negligent in this accident. But I would have to satisfy myself that they in some way either knew, actively or tacitly, or encouraged him to get behind the wheel of a car, any car, and that would be by participating in him getting a license, by participating in driver's ed. Quite the contrary. In their case, sir, he was told, you can't drive. But you have to understand, Mr. Harrelson, but for the actions of your agent, and in this situation, your daughter was your agent, because you chose to give her a car. You gave her certain rules, which she violated with regard to other people driving the car. So, but for her actions, we would not be here today. Therefore, I can impugn her negligence in letting him drive that car to you. His parents didn't allow him to do that. And if I were to say that they were financially responsible to you, I would be impugning his negligence to them, and they did everything that they could to see to it that their son did not drive a car until they thought he was responsible. I'm telling you, Your daughter may know how to drive a car, but she violated your trust on many more than this one occasion. So grounded is one thing, but I would rethink it in any event. For the reasons that I've outlined, your lawsuit is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 521 on the calendar in the matter of Valerio versus Hall.
Thank you.
You're quite welcome. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats, please.
Miss Valerio, at a time when you and the defendant were boyfriend and girlfriend, you decided to live together. You took a lease on an apartment, according to you, for a year. There was a problem with that living arrangement. The defendant was taken into custody for some act of domestic violence. You ultimately had a restraining order against him. Is that right?
That's true.
And what you want is for him to pay the remainder of the lease when he was no longer living in the apartment after the restraining order, and some other nonsensy stuff. But mostly it's the money for the lease. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
When did you move in?
September of 2000.
And how long did you actually live together?
Till December 9th of 2000.
Was it on the 9th of December that he was taken into custody?
Yes.
Who called the police?
Actually, he called the police first and hung up on them, and I called the police from a neighbor's house.
So you called the police first?
I did, yes.
Were those charges ultimately dropped?
Yes, they were.
Did you consent to a protective order, or was there a trial?
No, it was just dropped. Everything was just dropped.
Not the restraining order was not dropped.
Exactly.
That's what I asked you, sir. She has a restraining order against
Correct.
you. Did you consent to that restraining order, or was there a trial with regard to her?
There's no trial. I consent to it.
So as part of the restraining order, you knew that you would not be able to live in the house.
Correct.
And that's what you wanted.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you pay rent in December?
I had given her cash in December.
Did he pay rent for December?
He gave me $265, which was half of all the utilities from December and January.
Did he pay rent in November?
Yes.
Why do you think he should be responsible for the remainder of the lease?
He signed a lease for a year. It's not my fault that he got kicked out. It's not my fault that he made a mistake and can no longer live there. In order to get out of the lease, he has to pay a month in advance plus a half a month, but that entails me moving. I don't think I should have to move and pack up my stuff just because he can no longer live there.
Well, Miss Valerio, according to Mr. Hall, he offered to pay the month and a half's rent to move out, but you would not have accepted that anyway.
That was never brought to my attention. He's been talking to the leasing agents, and they told him that they wouldn't allow it.
No, I thought that that was permitted in your lease.
Well, it is, but they're not allowing it because I have to move out, and they don't feel that I should have to move out, and neither do they.
You're not going to get your money. This was an error in judgment on both of your parts to move in together. It lasted a relatively short period of time. He is precluded from living in your home. He consented to a protective order. If you have the ability to minimize your losses, even though that involves you moving, you can't expect him to support you. You're not married to each other. And certainly he should have paid December's rent because you were living there up till December 9th. Is that right?
Yes, as I was, which I did.
You have proof that you paid December's
No,
rent?
unfortunately, I did not ask her for a receipt.
Did you always pay her in cash?
No, just the last 2 months because I had a restraining order against me, so...
I'm not talking... When did you have a restraining order?
The whole time we lived there, he never paid rent. I paid rent. He didn't even have a job half the time he lived there.
I have receipts.
Well, show me your receipts.
Deposit, first month's rent.
He paid a security deposit of $100. I paid for groceries. I paid for food.
I'm not talking groceries and food. We're talking now rent.
I'm talking all bills.
No,
I have the receipts for everything.
I'm talking rent.
I have the receipts for everything.
Every Valerio, shh, I want you to listen to me. I've said this before. I don't know whether you've heard it before. When two people decide to live together without benefit of marriage, there are different set of rules than when you're married. I don't choose to waste my time in going through your grocery bills and seeing who was supposed to pay for what box of Rice Krispies.
Actually, I was speaking about rent because
Well,
there's
that's all I'm speaking about. You
Yeah.
said I have all these bills. I have grocery bills and
He has-
cable bills and all the other bills, and I don't intend to do that. The crux of your case is about a lease to which he obligated himself, and to which he was prepared to sign off, pay the month's rent, get off the lease, but it would involve you moving. And you said, I'm not moving.
I was never asked.
just a minute. Yeah, it came up. I want to tell you something. It came up, Miss Valeria, because you were too quick to say, I don't think that I should have to move because of his actions.
No, I heard that from the leasing agents. That's the only person I heard it from. I never heard by
just
letter,
a second.
by nobody.
If you heard it from the leasing agent, then the leasing agent said to you, he came in trying to sign off on the lease. You mean it just came up, you said, how are you, leasing agent? Good morning.
When I went
and the leasing agent said to you, you shouldn't have to move because of something he did. Is that how it came up?
No.
All right. You know, don't give me...
Oh, I know.
Too smart. All right. I see September. What about October, sir?
October, November, they were all paid.
Show me. You have checks here.
I don't have the checks for October, November.
Why not?
I didn't pay them.
I did pay them.
Shh. Don't talk to her.
All right. The checks that I wrote out, I don't get actually copies back. Those checks there you see are from a relative of mine that wrote them out for me at the time because I had no checking account. So their bank sends back their checks. The bank that I currently use does not send back my checks.
Fine, just show me a statement.
Again, I don't have that.
Well, where'd you think you were coming today? To a dance? If you don't have the checks, then you have a bank statement. The bank statement shows what checks were paid.
I don't have it. Rent was paid on time every month.
Well, but the question is, did you pay your part of the rent? She says you paid some, but not all.
Well, we were roommates, so of course I did.
He didn't have a job.
Let me see your checks for October, November, and December.
There's,
You don't want this, do you?
What is that?
It's her
yeah,
ledger.
it's my checking account that shows.
It's her ledger.
I don't want your ledger. I want bank statement. You have a bank statement? Do you get your checks back?
No, but in the actual ledger, it tells that I pay Coachman Crossing. I mean, when you sign your check, there's like a backing to it that copies it.
She's very organized, so.
You actually don't get a receipt from them.
I'm not talking about a receipt, madam. I'm talking about a bank statement.
I didn't bring bank statements because when you sign a check, it has a carbon copy. So I could actually show you my checking account, but those are copies of it.
Let me explain something to you. When you write out a check, there's a carbon underneath.
Exactly.
You can write out a check, rip it up into little teeny, teeny, teeny pieces, and throw it in the garbage. And guess what you still have? The carbon. Right?
I do have the carbon, but
just
I
a second.
With me.
Hello? Didn't you understand what I just said?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Eileen Valerio says former live-in boyfriend Roger Hall owes her for breaking an apartment lease and the money she paid for car insurance. Roger says Eileen won't return his stereo equipment.
So you don't have your checks for October, November, and December either?
They should be all there. But
This is not here, madam. This is your ledger. This is your ledger. This is what you write out. This has nothing to do with a bank.
Your Honor, I use starter checks.
What?
I use starter checks.
Starter checks?
Correct.
Where are they?
I already used them.
You people deserve each other. I swear to you, people actually deserve each other. Are you still living in the apartment?
Yes. The lease is going to be up in August.
Are you planning on staying there? Do you have a roommate?
No.
You live there all by yourself? And you're enjoying it?
Absolutely.
Pay for it. Now, let's get to next. Monies to purchase a car is what you have here.
What happened is when we moved to Florida, he had a car and he didn't have a license. So I put his car under my name for insurance and signed up for a policy for a year. We had agreed that we would use the same vehicle for a year. And he took the car, so now I don't have a car.
So you want him to pay for a car? That's what you said, monies to purchase a car.
Well.
And taxi transportation.
Taxi transportation is what I've been.
So
it averages out to about $200 a month. That's a big expense, and I already paid the premium of the insurance policy. So I'm driving nothing and paid something.
Did you pay for, you have one point that I will give you. If you paid for the insurance and he's driving the car, he should reimburse you for the insurance, right?
Insurance is canceled. It's done.
It's over?
It's over with. It's
I
been
already
over
paid
with.
the premium. $626.
For how, well,
There's no way.
just a second. When did you cancel the insurance?
Months ago.
No, last month. He took the car, so I canceled the insurance because I don't...
Oh, he took the car, you canceled the insurance. What are you bothering me for?
Because I paid the premium already. I paid a year's worth of insurance.
Then they will reimburse it to you. What's next? And he's not paying for your taxi cab bills. What else?
I'm without a vehicle, so I don't get reimbursed for that?
No.
It's my vehicle.
So do I look like I need help from you? Huh?
No.
Miss Valerio, you tried a situation, it didn't work out, cost you a couple of bucks. What are you bothering me for? Let's get to your counterclaim, which is equally nonsense. Now, you say that she has of yours, sir, some property.
Correct.
And you also say that she damaged the car that she was driving around in, which
Correct.
is your car that no longer has insurance.
Correct.
All right, let's start with the damaged car. When did she damage your car? When she was driving it?
When I picked the car up and drove it out of the parking lot.
You mean after you separated?
After we separated, I had an escort.
Yes,
Officer
you
the
picked
peace.
the car up and you drove it out of the parking lot. What happened?
Well, I drove it home and started smoking real bad.
It started smoking.
Correct.
So?
Reason why? Because there was no oil in the car.
Yes.
So it caused damage internally.